And it smothers the house, and then as soon as the smoke clears, you can see that it just didn't do any good.
Yeah, it looks like it is effective, but it is not effective.
It turns to steam almost
it does.
immediately.
And also, these crews have been making these huge, like bulldozing fire lines, cutting it, but that does nothing if the ember casts fly over.
Well, it does help. It helps tremendously, especially up in Mulholland. That is a long time fire break, if you will, and there are little areas all through the Santa Monica Mountains where firefighters and fire crews camp out. They do a lot of drilling up there. They practice constantly up in those areas, all the way towards Topanga Canyon near Eagle Rock. They're constantly cleaning out those areas and getting the brush away. But you know, there's a lot of, unfortunately, residences now in these particular areas that are backed up against Mulholland at the corner of Sepulveda Boulevard and the 405. You've got Mount St. Mary's, which is now being threatened. You've got the Skirball Center. There's Berkeley Hall School. There's also the Merman School. So there's a lot of, you know, really big schools and important structures that are up in these areas. And you know that there are crews that are at the ready at each one of them, prepared to fight and not have any of those areas threatened.
Yeah, I think the firefighters are working as hard as they can to keep that fire as far away from the 405 as they possibly can.
Absolutely, yeah.
And last night they were closing off all the exits on the northbound side of the 405. You weren't able to exit Sunset or even Wilshire, Mulholland, Skirball Center Drive, so people won't be able to go back in, and they were cutting they were going around to get in as well. So please, people, do not try to get back into that area right now.
Yeah, all that traffic just clogs the streets. The fire trucks can't move to where they have to go as quickly as they would like.
Yeah.
And it just causes problems. And I know a lot of people are in there trying to take pictures and we've heard about drones still flying even after they hit the planes. So people are just trying to get what they can get and then get out, but it's causing big problems.
Okay, we're continuing to look at this footage from earlier. We do have Omar Lewis, who we want to get back to. He is out there near this location where this happened, Mandeville Drive, or Mandeville Canyon, I should say. So what are you seeing now? That was very dramatic footage from earlier today when that house was reduced to ash.
Yeah.
And right now, what is the temperature out there?
Well, right now things have calmed down for the moment. Firefighters really getting a handle on the flames from our vantage point where we're located, which the home that you all were just speaking about, located on Mary Mac and Mandeville Canyon Road, is just on the other side of this white smoke that you see. But these firefighters on the ground right here, they are really making some active progress in trying to stop these flames, along with the retardant that you're looking at from a drop that just happened about 30 minutes ago. And so what we can tell you is that these firefighters have chainsaws in their hands. They are actively cutting back this brush, trying to make progress and stop these flames from right here. And so there are several homes located right here in this canyon, along these ridges at the bottom of the canyon as well. And so that is really the concern here, is actively trying to get inside of this area. You know, it took a little bit for firefighters to try to coordinate getting inside of the canyon because it is such steep terrain, but they figured it out. They got inside here with their drills and chainsaws, trying to cut back this brush, and it seems to be making some progress here in this area, which is the good news, as they try to protect those homes located just at the bottom of this hillside here on Mandeville Canyon Road. And so that is the main concern right now in this area where we're located, is trying to stop those flames from reaching that point. Earlier, we were talking about the smoke as well. The white smoke is a good sign that the active flames are out, but that darker smoke that you see there in the distance, that is the more menacing fire that is happening right now as well. So we see flames shooting up on that hillside also every now and then, but here closest to us, they are making some good progress as far as stopping these flames from reaching Mandeville Canyon Road. These houses located all up and down here. Where we're located is just on West Ridge Road in Cordelia. We can pan the camera and show you that vantage point as well. And these firefighters have not let up here either, trying to protect these homes just that back up to this area here. These firefighters have been on this back deck here for hours now with water hose lines, trying to wet the area and make sure those flames don't encroach on this property as well as several other properties, driving all throughout this neighborhood here. All you see up and down the street are fire trucks from all across our country here that have now made it and descended upon this area to help out as well. And so that is the scene here in this community as firefighters actively work to put a stop to these flames. But as I pan the camera, and just in the last 30 seconds of us talking, that smoke has now changed. And you can see is growing, that smoke column in the very back there that is darker lets us know that something is actively burning over there. I do not believe there are any properties located where that stack is right now. However, it is always concerning as these flames try to make its way across the top of this ridge here. And so behind us where these flames are actively coming and going, trying to make drops on this area because it's volatile. It can change at any moment. We were speaking about 30 minutes ago to the fire captain who said, hey, right now things are great as far as the wind, but that could change any minute as well. So we are seeing this fluid situation out here as firefighters work to do everything they can to get folks to make sure that their properties are safe. Most people have heeded those warnings and evacuated. When we first got up to this area, probably around 7 o'clock this morning, we saw a homeowner who had a water hose in his hand, and he was just actively trying to spray down his neighbors' houses, tears in his eyes as he was talking to me, saying that, you know, he was scared, didn't know what would happen. But the good news for those folks who are along West Ridge Road, the fire has not reached that area, and firefighters again have actively been able to stop that. Mandeville Canyon Road is the concern again out here right now. And so that is a little bit of the lay of the land and exactly what's happening. But these firefighters on the ground, in the air, doing what they can to make sure that they protect these properties and stop these flames from spreading. You can see them going up and down. I think this is a crew from San Luis Obispo from CAL FIRE that are now actively along this ridge side right now, doing what they can.
This was really disappointing.
So that is the latest for now.
It's not just, it's not just
back to you in the studio.
You know, closing a tax
view that you're giving us right there shows just how steep the walls are, and the fact that we've got a number of people on the ground, some of those hand crews.
You know, about like funding schools and like.
This is just extended version of our newscast here. So I'm getting out of the seat, Rick Chambers in it,
like
and you guys are going to take it
like
from here as viewers continue to watch this
burdensome regulations right on housing, which
would
have helped with getting a lot of the housing up to code, you know.
Look at that shot right there. Just how small the firefighters are on that huge hillside. I mean, it looks
I still
like
have PTSD from this thing.
It just
because
shows
we
you what they're having to navigate here, and also we can see just the tough terrain they're having to deal with, and what a excruciatingly difficult job it is. So we thank all those firefighters out there that are doing this work for us right now.
And you can see that red line to the right of your screen there. The FOS check that was dropped earlier today by one of the planes coming through did its job. You don't see any flames on the other side of that line. As Court just mentioned, the hand crews are in there to trying to put out some hot spots that are just to the left of that red line, and that'll keep the rest of it from.
So I haven't streamed in a long time like this, but
they're up there doing structure
I can't
protection.
stop watching this.
Like
I don't live in LA anymore, but I just moved like 2 months ago.
Oftentimes they'll let some of the flame,
Seattle,
as long as it's not
this
critical to
happened.
some of the homes in the area. They'll just let it burn. So it
And
eats
I
up
don't
a lot
know,
of the
like I was
vegetation,
so, I
and we
lived
don't
like,
have to
I
worry
lived in
about
LA
that
for
at
like
some of
almost
the time.
20
By the
years,
time we
and
look
it
at
just,
the smoke pouring
watching
out
this
of that
happen
canyon
as soon
there,
as I
most
leave,
of it's
it's
going
kind of
straight
like,
up in the air.
Yeah, we're
God,
beginning
you know,
to see
and
through the night. Of course, we've seen an onshore flow.
so
And
I don't
now
know,
we're
just like
switching
everyone else, I'm just trying
gradually
to
back
make
to an
sense of it, you know.
offshore flow, and unfortunately, this is not good news. We will continue
But
to see the winds
I'm originally
strengthen
from
as we make
Hawaii,
our
so
way
I
through the
followed
rest
the
of afternoon
Maui
and definitely through the overnight
fires
hours. You can see the winds right now
pretty
coming
close.
out of
Well, not
Van Nuys area in the
closely,
San
but
Fernando
you know,
Valley
I
on the
did
left-hand
hear
side of
about
your
it.
screen at about 22
And it's
miles
not
per
going
hour.
well,
Of
like,
course,
at
we're gonna
all.
continue to focus
And
on those
every time I go
numbers
home,
that are coming out of the San
my
Fernando
parents
Valley,
are
but we're also,
like,
as you can see
ah,
on
yeah,
the
it's
right-hand
still
side
a
of your
mess.
screen, beginning to see some
And
stronger winds.
I'm
making
worried
their way
the
back to
same
Home
thing's
Pass
gonna
area,
happen
San
to
Bernardino,
LA.
17 mile per hour sustained winds into Corona.
Like, the
23
fire's
miles per
not
hour
even out
sustained
yet,
winds.
right? So
We're
it's
picking
like
up
too early
again
to say,
a
but
good deal
like,
of winds that will continue
it's
to start
the
to
most
make a right
painful
of
part is like what
north-northeasterly
comes
direction a little
after,
bit more
because
as we head through the afternoon hours.
you know,
for the time being,
you would hope
the Santa
that
Monica
people
Mountain
will come
Range right
together
now,
and
the
work
eastern
together
sections
for the
where
greater
fire
good
lines are.
and
This
help
is
each
a wind
other out,
advisory,
but
and that's going to stay in place until
it's,
about 6 o'clock. But unfortunately, according
not
to Rick,
that
by the time we
simple.
do turn the corner into 6 o'clock, the advisory turns into a warning
working?
because we're going to
Yeah, it
go
should be
from
working.
winds gusting to 45 miles per hour to
I mean, the
winds
sound
gusting
quality
to
is not great, and the
65
lighting
miles
is
per
kind
hour
of
as
fucked
we
up,
make our
but
way through the night tonight, and we'll see that high wind warning staying in place until tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and as you're talking about the
okay,
winds,
so
we're also
Prop
seeing
13, like
the
everything
winds
is
dropping as well.
connected.
Crashing, and that's why we're seeing a lot of those red
And
flag
it's like
warnings. We do have a red
taxes,
flag
because
warning
like
that's in place
I always
for
always
much
used to
of the
say
Inland
on
Empire years, what we're talking about.
my
You just
streams, it's
mentioned,
like
Rick, look at these relative
a
humidity
place to
values
live,
getting
housing,
lower
right?
and lower as
Housing
minutes move on.
touches
12%
everything.
relative
It's like it
humidity advantage.
affects
Again, that's just bone dry.
where you live, of
Burbank right now,
course.
24. You can see the LA Basin,
It's like the
54%, so that's
fundamentals
good.
of
That's
where all
moisture
the
coming from
infrastructure
the sea.
goes,
But in the next
water,
hour, we're gonna see that
power,
number beginning to fall
and
as
you
well,
know,
but
like
that
you see,
area, that
like
basin,
you know,
the
there's
LA
issues
Basin
with power
has
and water
the
this
criteria
time,
for
so it
both the
affects
fire
that
weather
too.
warning, the red flag warning, and the fire weather watch. But now, once
Taxes, of
again,
course,
most of Southern
schools.
California has returned to a red flag warning, and it's not just through the night tonight, but taking us through tomorrow, Sunday.
It also
Monday,
affects
Tuesday,
the
as
stuff
well as
that you
Wednesday,
eat and the
middle
places
of
you
next
go.
week.
You know,
So
like
we're gonna
if
continue to
housing
see
is
for the next 4 to
expensive,
5
food becomes
days
expensive
similar
because
extreme
you
fire
know
weather
even
conditions
restaurants have to pay
happening
rent.
here
You
in
know,
Southern California.
so
Quick fire spread as well
yeah.
as ignition. You must have a plan, folks. These fires
But
over the
it's
last
kinda
4 or 5
crazy,
days,
right?
we've seen
Just
them
like
popping
all
up
this is
in
gone,
downtown
man.
Hollywood. We've seen them, of
And so
course,
what's
in the
gonna
foothills
happen?
near the beach communities. And this is, of course, January, and we're talking about bone dry air. We're talking about fire weather conditions. This is serious business. We typically talk about these sorts of environmental
Yeah, it's
issues
moving
once
into
we get into the
Brentwood.
spring,
I
summertime
thought they
months,
had it somewhat
even
under
now in
control,
the fall, but this is now,
but
unfortunately,
damn.
year-round for us here in Southern California.
It
And again,
spread.
take a look at the winds throughout the later portions of this afternoon and early tomorrow morning.
So if you're not
They do
from
begin to pick
LA,
up gusts
here's
of up
a
to
sort of
50,
like a map
55,
view.
65 miles per hour. That takes place before the sun rises on your Sunday morning. Once we
Get
get
it,
into your
idea.
midday,
Get
a
it
little
in
bit of a break in the
screenshots
action.
and such, but-
Then once we head into Sunday night and early Monday morning, some of the mountains start to see those winds beginning to pick up again. There's the Santa Clarita Valley.
ArcGIS.
By Monday,
This one's a
midday,
little,
Moore Park, the Santa Susana Pass, all the way out
alarmist
to the
because
Ventura
it seems like
coastline.
everything
Gusts
like this
50, 55
downtown is
miles
on
per
fire.
hour.
So
We'll see
maybe
again
that's
the
just
Hone
like
Pass through the Inland Empire out to Orange
measuring
County.
risk, I think.
Those winds will be up to 25, 30, 35 miles per hour.
Yeah,
and
and
the
this
winds
one's a little
continue to
bit
stick around
more
into Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. It just goes
helpful.
on and on, and unfortunately, these winds are erratic winds. So again, they're just bursts here and there.
So this was the
Winds gusting
one
up to
that
50,
is
55
suspected
miles per hour.
of
now,
arson.
fortunately, this is not a
And the
widespread
guy
wind
they
event like we experienced
arrested
earlier this
apparently
week. That was the wind
they weren't
storm.
able to
We will
find
not see
any
anything
evidence, so
happening like that as we
they haven't
head through the
detained,
next
but they
few
haven't
days,
charged him with
nonetheless,
anything.
dangerous fire weather conditions continue.
But
to
these
stay
are
in
the
Southern
two big
California.
ones
You
that
can
are
see
like
all the way to
out of
Wednesday
control right
and
now.
the air quality
And,
alert, and you can see why, because
this
that live shot
is
on the left-hand side of your
where
screen, the smoke continues to pour into the atmosphere.
like the west
The fire
side is
continues to
considered
stop.
like the
And
nice
do want
part.
to take a quick look.
You know,
Look at the
nicer parts of the
horizontal
lake.
way that the smoke is now starting to
It is
lay
where like a
down.
lot of
So again,
the
offshore flow is happening.
celebrities and, you know,
65
people with
miles an hour, though, is
money
very
live
concerning
around here.
because the first 2 days
So
of
I'm not gonna get
the
into
ceasefire, they were
politics of
dealing
that
with
because it's
70
like,
mile per hour
you know.
winds.
Yeah, it's not the time to let your guard down.
No.
We have some
I don't know,
critical.
you know, even if you
Problems
even if you
for all of
like
us,
believing to
it's-
eat the
you
rich
gotta pay
stuff, you
attention.
know, it's
And we
just
want to
like
let you know two things.
yeah, there's a
First
time
of
and
all,
place for it.
we will
It's
be
like-
bringing Sky 5 back onto the
should,
scene in a few minutes.
This is
We
this
had
is
to
the
send Rich Perkett
more
back to
unfortunate
refuel the chopper,
part
and
because
Bill
there's
Davis
actually a
will,
lot of
be flying
middle
back
class
over
people
above the
who live in
Palisades fire.
Altadena.
But while we've been talking about that
La
specific
Cañada
fire
is
all
actually
morning,
a pretty
we do
affluent
want to update
neighborhood.
you on the Eaton fire, which of course has charged 7,000
I had an ex-girlfriend who
structures,
used to
mass
live around here,
devastation
and
over
yeah,
in
she had
Altadena,
money.
Pasadena, but we will be hearing.
I heard
the
rumors
shot
that
right
this
there.
this area caught fire
County
too,
Supervisor
but
Catherine Barger
not
will be
quite
holding
there
this
yet.
press
But it's not
conference with
over,
county
so who knows,
officials
you know?
at 2 o'clock. So in just 15 minutes. So we're on
I haven't
standby
talked to her
bring
in like
that
over
to you as
20
well.
years,
From the
so I
Rose
don't
Bowl
know.
in Pasadena.
If we've got another picture of the fire area,
It's
let's
not
go
like I
back
know
to that
what's
one
going
they
on,
set
but
up in
it's probably
Pasadena.
freaking out. Is my guess.
Okay,
I mean,
Aaron
what-
Myers is in the Brentwood area. Aaron, are you there? What can you tell us?
And
Bring us
where
up to
I used to live in K-Town, which is here.
Okay, she
So
will
it's
be
pretty
momentarily. Of course, these
safe from the
our crew members
fire, at
have
least
had
for
to
now,
be racing
but,
all over the place because
my brother
it's so
kind of lives
erratic
in
where the
this
flames
mid-area, too.
are popping up. And
This
as we saw
this kind of
Omar
freaked a lot of
earlier
people
today was
out
very
because it's
active
just like
behind him, but our last
popped out
live
of
shot with
nowhere,
him,
you
things
know,
had
and
calmed
that's
down
the
a little.
danger.
And then
Like
Aaron's shot the last time.
the
we
biggest danger
chatted
is
with
just
her,
a random
things
fire
were
popping
really,
out of nowhere and
getting going
taking people
behind
by
her.
surprise.
Okay,
And
so
there
she's
is-
ready now. So
And
let's go
because
see.
we
There's
live in
huge
such
plume of dark
a
smoke behind you, Aaron,
time
just
of,
over your
like,
shoulder.
instability, I'd say, you know. You know, like it could be arson. I don't know, right? Like a couple of years ago, some guy lit the tent on fire. Right? Remember that?
All morning long into the afternoon. And
Uh,
you can see a lot of that smoke here.
Freeway 10.
So many water
fire,
drops we've seen them
Los
coming in with
Angeles.
aircraft dropping fire retardant. We also have crews out here in this neighborhood.
Yeah, this was just last year.
On these homes that back up to Vanderbilt Canyon, you can see here behind us, and I kind of want to walk you through what we saw when we got
Some
here.
guy
When we first
lit
got
the
here,
highway on
fire
fire
was actually burning more towards the Brentwood area.
just
near
because,
Brentwood
like,
as well.
there
But
is
hills
no
behind us
reason.
all along the
You know?
ridge, and then the winds would change. They would die.
I know, we have a
down,
lot of homeless
the fire would
people,
die
and a
down.
lot of them are like
Then we wouldn't see
pretty
anything, and then all
unstable,
of a
you know.
sudden, winds would pick back up, and we'd see those flare-ups, and that's what's been
So
happening.
it's just,
pretty much all
and
day
you know, we
long.
have
Right
a
now we have a little bit of a
100,000, like 100,000 plus
concern, as Kai was
homeless
talking about.
population in LA, and most of them are just like wandering around the streets everywhere. And you know, we walk around pretending like
Right
they don't
now,
exist,
we're not
but
strong
like,
enough for them to have to ground any of the area.
yeah.
And we're hoping it will stay that way. They told me that.
So my thing with about housing is that we need to house these people. You know, there's the compassionate aspect of it, of course. You know, you don't want to see people suffer, but at the same time, it's safer just to have them not wandering around everywhere, right? Like, God, who knows what happens out there, right?
Dropping the retardant, so they had really
I
been
talked to
trying
like
get
some
this
people who
area
worked in that
very
you know,
hard.
homeless
It's right here,
shelters and such,
County
and
Road
the things that
below us.
happen
You
on
can't
the
see it,
streets,
that is
like
where
you
they worked
don't
in
talk
those
about,
homes.
you know.
You can see it now moving over more towards
It's,
going over towards Encino. If we were to
but-
cross over into the Encino area,
Uh,
so they're definitely keeping their eye on everything out here. This is one of the evacuation zones. The majority of people left. We have seen a few people still here in the neighborhood. When we got out here this morning, the home that is actually having structure protection on it right now, there was still somebody there. We saw them packing up their vehicle and then they took off. So that is the best thing to be doing right now. If you are in one of those evacuation zones, to be out of it. Give firefighters, give crews the space they need to do what they need to do. We've also seen law enforcement patrolling in the area as well. The road up here, Mountain Gate, it is blocked off at Sepulveda, so they are keeping track of who is coming in and out of this neighborhood. And as you were saying, very close to the 405, where we know those ramps around this area are closed to get into it. So once again, this is the latest that we have going on here. A lot of smoke, not seeing as much active flame. We do know stuff is burning. We are seeing some of that black smoke, the gray smoke there behind us. So it is actively burning in this area. The firefighters out here keeping an eye on the structures. And as Kai was saying, the flames that we saw earlier, They looked much closer to this neighborhood than they actually were, but still a dangerous situation for residents to be here.
Aaron, what about the wind?
Man, Brentwood.
What about the wind
I used
out
to,
there?
I used to go there once in a while.
We had trouble hearing you at one point because it sounded like it was really windy. Are you noticing the wind picking up there?
They come and go at this point, and that's how it's been all morning long. We'll see them pick up for a little bit. We'll get some strong wind gusts, some stronger breezes, and then they'll die down completely. We won't see anything, and that's when you see the fires start to die down a little bit, and then they will pick up again. And one of the firefighters that I spoke to was telling me that they just know. They'll see the change, they'll feel the change of the winds, and they know they have to be ready because the conditions are going to change. And so that's what they are doing out here, keeping an eye on everything, trying to protect this neighborhood, but Mandeville Canyon, obviously an area of concern.
Yeah, when we look at that smoke screen behind you, Aaron, it's hard to get a little bit of depth perception on just where
Let's try a different chat.
FEMA during the next round of spending.
Good to get different perspectives.
On Wednesday, no cell service whatsoever.
Yeah.
And we, of course, want to bring you the best information, but
For this
in
kind of
terms of
thing,
getting
the
right
local
there next to the
channels are
fire
usually the
lines
best.
itself, you really have to have a special kind
You
of
know, when you
connection,
get
perhaps,
to the
in order
national stuff, it
to
starts becoming more.
And what was challenging for me, I was in the
political,
Palisades yesterday going
Not
to
that- not
interview
that there's
Governor
not full
Newsom,
politics,
and I'm
but
so used to
a
getting
little
GPS navigation from my
detached, you know what I
phone,
mean?
and then there was no
People,
signal,
random
so
people.
I had no navigation.
Not only that, there's so many
road
there's some
and
exactly.
things in the
internet
road and all the rest of it.
broadcasts
I'm sort of
are
directionally
kinda
challenged on a good day.
Me too.
So it was
questionable.
it was
you know what I mean?
it's challenging. That's another thing you don't even think
I
about.
mean,
how
I guess
communication
this
for
stream has an
everything.
agenda too, but
So,
you know, I want
if
to
you've
talk
been following,
about
one of the
housing
storylines we've been following is yesterday there was this back and forth between the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and the fire chief, Kristen Crowley. Crowley was appointed by the former mayor, Eric.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
And,
you know, people are just
Bass
like,
has been talking about the
chip on
fact
their
that she
shoulder,
cut the
and
budget
it's like,
by $17 million for the fire department, said that it didn't really have an impact on fighting this fire. Crowley told our Gigi Garcia, not really. It made an impact, and that the city failed you. That went all over the place. Then a bunch of other media got involved with it. Then Crowley's called in, summoned to Bass's office. Neither one of them go to the press conference last night. Reports, inaccurate reports, that Crowley had been fired.
They didn't go to the
tips
press
that
conference.
she was saying goodbye
my
to
God.
her staff.
So then the mayor's office pushed back on that. The fire department pushed back on that. The mayor and Crowley together this morning at a press conference.
I had a friend,
not quite
he works in
kumbaya,
real
but if
estate,
you were wondering what that looked like and
he
maybe
actually
missed it
met
this morning, here's a look at what they said.
He didn't have much to say about her.
Are
It was just
focused
sort
on
of like
fighting these fires
you know,
and saving
run-in kind of
lives,
thing, but-
and any differences that we might have will be worked out in private. But right now, our first and most important obligation to Angelenos is to
I
get
feel like
through
I'm watching
this
her career
crisis.
implode on itself right now.
Talking about the fact that they are going to be talking
She was
privately
already
about their
kinda not
disagreements
that
and maybe not on a bunch
well,
of media
like,
channels.
you know, even before
but
this,
it's
so-
clear
But
that
now
Crowley
people are
knew what
gonna,
she was
like, jump
doing
all
when
over.
making that public statement and was clearly trying to send a strong message in doing so.
Well, there's just been
thought it was
so
all
much
over the
criticism
shit,
on
you know?
how the city responded to this
But I guess
catastrophe.
since I lived there for
and
so
she,
long.
I'm sure, felt the need to push back. That's why she talked to Gigi. That's why all of these other suggestions that she was in conflict with the mayor.
I mean, and the political firestorm right now for LA Mayor Karen Bass is quite real. Somebody who won election by 10 points, somebody who's been really beloved here in Los Angeles for a long time and has a whole lot of friends. And but it's been a rough week for her politically, to say the least. And it's,
a lot of her supporters live right there in the Palisades.
Yeah.
So
although the guy that won the Palisades with a huge percentage is Rick Caruso.
True.
Who has been very clear of his disappointment with the mayor's leadership as well. So that's a storyline that we will be following in the months and years ahead. The mayor has 2 more years on her term, and the rebuilding is something that a lot of people are going to be looking at. But right now we're in that crisis mode.
He didn't know
so a lot of criticism of her, and a lot of
mayor.
criticism as well of Governor Newsom, who is here in Southern California, has been here since the beginning. I spoke with him yesterday in Pacific Palisades about some of the issues ahead. Here's some of that conversation.
Governor Newsom, good to see you. Not great to see you under these circumstances. As you stand here, look around, what goes through your mind?
Well, I just complete another devastation. Memories, mementos,
Unsuccessfully ran
traditions,
against Karen's, yes.
lifestyle. All of it gone.
Rebuilding, not going to be easy. We know building housing in California is not always easy.
Yep.
Is there red tape that you can cut through to make rebuilding here move faster? If so, what specifically is that going to look like?
Well, we're looking at a series of executive orders. We're looking at a series of legislative pathways to absolutely focus and streamline all of that and really target. I want to do it statewide, of course. I've been working on this for years, 42 secret reforms. We've got to do more, but right now it's focusing on the rebuild and recovery. Of course, a big part of that is prepping the site, getting all the debris removal done, dealing with the hazardous waste, getting that done as quickly as possible, getting those contracts in order. At the same time, simultaneous getting the individual assistance, the small business loans and the like.
Every time
you put out a letter to DWP
we're looking
asking,
into it.
how is it that there was no water to fight this fire in certain places? We were here, and basically these places just burned and there was nothing that could be done. Does the state have any responsibility in that? Is there more the state can do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what the letter's about. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's be transparent. Let's move this forward quickly. I'm not interested in the finger point. I want to know what the hell happened. And would it have mattered? I mean, let's be honest about it here. I've talked to all my experts, all the firefighters I've been with. They said we could add an engine on every house in 90-mile-an-hour winds with all the pressure in the world. So you got to be realistic about that as well, but still doesn't make it right. And I want to know what went wrong so it doesn't happen again.
Any bottom line message to the people of California tonight?
Well, we care deeply about them. We have their back, and we're going to continue to come back until this is completely rebuilt.
Governor Newsom, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Portion of our conversation with the governor. If you want to see the full thing, it's now streaming on my YouTube page, youtube.com/Alex Michelson. The governor's Office of Emergency Services for the state of California is expected to hold a press briefing in about 3 minutes from the state's Emergency Operations Center. We hope to bring some of that to you live. We also expect at 2 o'clock a press conference from Catherine Barger about the Eaton fire and other officials in the San Gabriel Valley. We expect to bring that you live. This is a live picture from there right now. You can see Assemblyman Mark Gonzalez. There's Catherine Barger, other officials that are getting ready to do a briefing. And part of what I think Catherine Barger wants to talk about, which is something that Governor Newsom and I talked about last night in that clip that was edited out of that, is Newsom sent a letter to Trump inviting him to come here, tour the damage, and I think Barger has a similar message for the future and former President Trump to try to get him on board in building. We know he loves building, and that has a long history of building as a real estate developer, and let's hope he takes an active interest in rebuilding our region.
Well, we also know that he has also expressed some displeasure when it comes to Gavin Newsom. And
who he calls new scum, and says that the fire is his responsibility and that he should resign. So that's been his message so far, and a similar message we've seen from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. So
they say that shit
attitude in that interview with me was more conciliatory. Let's work together. But you can tell.
The state of California, though, is very important to the United States, so you cannot dismiss the entire state of California.
Newsom is clearly very, very frustrated by that situation.
Indeed. I spoke with the first partner yesterday, Jennifer Siebel. Newsom, trying to get her to say a little bit more than the, as you say, the kumbaya moment of, oh, we're all in this together, and, you know, I'm handing out sandwiches. But, you know, I mean, she's first partner. She's not a politician.
Yeah, she's not. That's not her
That's
role.
not her role. But there are so many people that are just so frustrated and scared and wonder if there is even a possibility to rebuild and rebuild in a relatively you know, a amount of time that makes sense. I mean, imagine all these people that are elderly and they lost their family home, and they're thinking, well, it takes so much time to rebuild and get through the process, as you say. Can you cut through the red tape? And we are just well known in the city of Los Angeles for having a lot of red tape to build.
A lot of red tape. Susan, meanwhile, you know, as we're about to focus on the Eaton fire, you spent a lot of time there in the last few days, spent time at the Pasadena Civic Center where a lot of those evacuees are located, and maybe talk a little bit about, well, we should officially welcome people. It's now the 2 o'clock, top of the hour. Alex Michelson, Susan Hirasuna here with you for special coverage. We're awaiting a press conference any moment now to get the latest on the Eaton fire. And it must really been something to see the outpouring of love, but the outpouring of need there in Pasadena.
Absolutely. There was, it was quite remarkable when you consider how many people were there to volunteer. In fact, I talked to a woman who was frustrated because there was really nothing for her to do. Meantime, we saw all these celebrities and the politicos that turned up in order to offer some condolence.
Speaking of politicos, here's Supervisor Catherine Barger.
I'm doing daily visits to see, hear, and take in the devastation, and it truly is difficult even to describe. We need all level of support, both at the local county level, the state level, and the federal level, and we need it immediately. I cannot stress enough how important that is and will continue to be in the future. Today, I wrote a letter to President-elect Trump inviting him to engage in wildfire recovery efforts and to visit the county to see the impact firsthand that it has on every socioeconomic individual in this county.
The federal government
Engaging
out,
the White House makes the way for the rapid deployment of federal resources, including emergency personnel and financial assistance. While I was on my walkthrough today, I crossed paths with California Assembly Speaker Rivas, and actually the entire, I think, Assembly family was up in Altadena. I told the Speaker that the state has to be incredibly flexible and streamline all of their processes. And he has promised to work with us. My goal is to help communities rebuild like for like, if not better. But there are state and county requirements that can sometimes add an additional cost to the building process. My ask is that the state and the county work to ensure that we rebuild safely, but we must remove any new costly requirements not related to health and safety that would otherwise make it cost prohibitive for residents to rebuild.
There we go, the permitting
Government mandates cannot mean the difference between whether a community can afford to rebuild or not.
So that's where it ties
we need to be
into housing,
extremely responsive
permitting.
to the individual needs of thousands of residents who are going to have to navigate this incredibly difficult process. Our community's resilience has always been inspirational and will be our guiding light as we move forward together. I understand that many of our residents are looking and thinking rebuilding is not just a priority, it is an urgent need. I've talked to people who know their home is gone and they want to begin today.
So you got to pay this much just to work on your
I will make sure that the county works quickly to eliminate unnecessary red tape, ensuring permits are approved safely and swiftly so that reconstruction can begin as soon as possible. Again, my priority is to ensure that government becomes a facilitator, not an obstacle as we move toward recovery. I will also prioritize creating one-stop service centers where all relevant departments are available in one place in real time to answer your questions, provide guidance, and support your rebuilding efforts. This will be designed with one goal: to make the recovery process as seamless and supportive as possible, and to make sure those resources are right there in the community where you are rebuilding. We're here to help, and we will continue to be here during every part of the process.
How long?
With that, I'd like to bring up Los Angeles County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney. Thank you.
Housing in Los Angeles, including permits.
Thank you, Chair Barger. So good afternoon. The Eaton Fire is now estimated to be 14,117 acres with 15% containment. Over 7,000 structures are damaged or destroyed, and 2,832 firefighting personnel are assigned to the Eaton Fire. Elevated critical fire weather conditions are predicted to begin this evening and continue through Wednesday. Moderate to locally strong Santa Ana winds will affect Los Angeles County today and tomorrow, and again Monday through Wednesday. The Los Angeles County Fire Department will be prepared. These winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in Los Angeles County high. Please understand that the inevitable
it's still not over.
public
That's the crazy
safety power
part.
shutoffs that will be implemented prior to this life-threatening Santa Ana wind event are crucial to preventing new fire starts, and that they help save lives. Yes, they're a challenge to deal with, but it's certainly better than having another fire start. I would like to express my gratitude to the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors for their leadership and unwavering support of our residents, my fire department personnel, and me as fire chief. To our first responders battling these wildfires in the air and on the ground, we commend you for your relentless and fearless dedication in protecting residents throughout this great county.
There's a few
and
people
finally, to
on
our Los
YouTube.
Angeles County residents, please be assured that we will continue
After
to
this,
battle
I'm
these
gonna go check
wildfires
out
until they are
Twitch
fully
and see
contained.
what
We stand alongside all of you
those
as we
folks
begin
are
to
saying.
plan for repopulation of evacuated areas, disaster recovery, and the rebuilding of your homes and your lives. I would now like to introduce California Interagency Incident Management Team 5, Operations Section Chief, Don Fraguglia.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
I'm going to watch this.
Okay, so quick operational update here for the Eaton Fire. Over here, as we start on the right flank in Santa Anita Canyon, things are looking really good across the front country here until we get to about here, and then we're starting to still see quite a bit of heat, quite a bit of work through here in this area. As we come across over here into the Altadena area, this is, I want to just highlight this square box right here is a square mile. So it's a massive, massive area that we're talking about here. That's residential community. It's not wildland. It's a residence, and these are people's houses. So huge Herculean task to get through all this down here. We have a ton of work. It's many days, many weeks of work. Just wanted to highlight that a little bit. As we come through by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, this is looking good. Again, crews engaged, boots on the ground, mopping up. All through the National Forest up here, we continue to make really good progress up there. The weather's in our favor. We're using air tankers, we're using helicopters, all the tools in our toolbox to go get and put this fire out right where you see it right here. So that'll be our goals in the coming days. So thank you very much.
Yeah, see, they're worried about moving back because they saw what a mess.
Now we're going to have Los Angeles County Sheriff Commander Tanya E. Plunkett.
Good afternoon. I'd like to take this time to update you on the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's effort in dealing with the Eaton Canyon fire. Currently, in response to the fire, our staffing has increased to approximately 500 personnel. Within the personnel, we have active missions, which include controlling traffic points, of approximately 46 hard closures, and traffic control. We also have roving security to deal with looting and address those issues. and when necessary, respond to welfare requests and at the direction of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. As you may, as you may be aware that last night we instituted a curfew order which went into effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and currently within the evacuation zones. It's important to know that these zones are going to be strictly enforced, and the reasons behind them is to enhance public security and address enhance public safety and address public security concerns. Within the curfew, we're asking everyone to stay clear of the affected zones unless they are authorized personnel or emergency responders. Anyone found in violation of the curfew order will be subject to a misdemeanor crime and subject to $1,000 fine. We understand that this is an extremely stressful and challenging time, but we appreciate the public's cooperation as we work together during the crisis. Since the Eaton Canyon fire commenced, we have a total of, 19 arrests, and of those 19 arrests, 4 were for curfew violations last night. We also had a search and rescue task force that commenced this morning, and that will be until the completion. It will begin daily at 6 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. That search and rescue team, we are working jointly with our partners from Los Angeles County Fire Urban Rescue, the Coroner's Office, FEMA, OES, and the use of cadaver dogs to search for remains and reunite families, most importantly. These searches will be a part of a grid search, like I mentioned, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. due to safety concerns and our inability to operate during nighttime hours. Unfortunately, we report that we have 8 deaths within the Eaton Canyon fire area that was affected by the fire. And in an effort to deal with the death and the tragedies as a result of this fire, we do have, working with our partners, family assistance centers that are open to provide information to people looking for missing family members, and that location is the Pasadena Civic Center. It will be comprised of OEM, sheriff's deputies, LAPD, Red Cross, the medical examiner, and the Department of Mental Health. On scene, it's important to remember that if you have missing family members, we have 2 personnel on scene to take those missing persons report for the family members and or friends. In closing, I'd like to mention that we all know so many people have been impacted by the disaster and need help. If you are in a position to help and support the counties, we would appreciate that, and please contact Emergency Network Los Angeles by visiting www.nlaenla.org. At this time, I'd like to introduce Los Angeles County Public Health, Dr. Amish Mahajan.
Good afternoon. My name is Anish Mahajan, Chief Deputy Director of LA County Public Health. I'd like to start by thanking the first responders for their heroic efforts and extending our thoughts and prayers to all who have experienced such profound loss with these fires. We in public health are committed to supporting those in need in the months ahead. I'd also like to thank the county supervisors, especially Supervisor Barger, for their extraordinary and thoughtful support of public health and all our county and city partner departments. Yesterday, a local health emergency for LA County was declared by both Secretary Becerra at the federal level and by the county health officer, recognizing the substantial risks to public health due to the impacts of the critical fire events and windstorm conditions. The South Coast Air Quality Management has issued a smoke advisory through Saturday, January 11th at 5 p.m. This advisory will shortly be extended. We are all experiencing this wildfire smoke, which is a mix of small particles, gases, and water vapors It's those small particles that get into our noses and throats and cause those sore throats and headaches. But we must also be very careful for those who are at higher risk for bad health effects from wildfire smoke. And those include children, the elderly, those with respiratory and heart conditions, and people with immunocompromised states. They may have worse symptoms like shortness of breath, wheezing, cough, and chest pain. Everyone in the areas where there's visible smoke or the smell of smoke, and even where you don't see that, we know that the air quality is poor, so you should limit outdoor exposure as much as possible. Do not engage in outdoor physical activity. If you must be outside, wear an N95 or a P100 mask. These are high filtration masks that take out those small particles that get into your body. Keeping indoor air as clean as possible is also important. Keep your windows shut. If you have an air conditioning that can pull air from the outside, that can recirculate air, you can use that. If you have a HEPA air filter or HEPA air purifier, that will help too. All of us are at risk with the poor air quality right now, but some of us in LA County are at even greater risk. For example, if it's part of your job to work outside, it's important that you wear an N95 or P100 mask. In these situations, you may ask your employer for an N95, and they're required to provide it to you free of charge. The LA County Department of Public Health is offering N95 masks through the interim housing sites, shelters, and street teams to LA residents who are experiencing homelessness and living outdoors, and to those persons who are evacuated from where they usually live and staying in temporary shelters. Family assistance centers will also offer respiratory masks to residents who are returning to fire zone areas as they clean up the fire damage. The County of Los Angeles and our partners are also working to distribute over 5,000 HEPA air purifiers to senior centers, nursing homes, and other facilities where individuals are at highest risk of residing in the worst air quality. Finally, if you experience severe symptoms like coughing, shortness of breath, wheezing, chest pain, palpitations, nausea, please contact your doctor or medical provider or go to an urgent care. For life-threatening symptoms, please call 911. I want to finish by noting that we understand this is a very difficult time for those who are evacuated, and we have a lot of folks who want to get back to their homes and to their neighborhoods. But we want to ask folks not to return home until you're told that it's safe to do so. There is a lot of toxins left over after the fire. There's a lot of smoke there. And once you are going back, the key is to remain covered up. Make sure you're wearing gloves. Household dishwashing gloves are okay. Long sleeves, long pants, and you should be using an N95 mask. The LA County Department of Public Health is also offering N95 masks to LA residents who are returning to the fire zone areas as the cleanup of the fire damage begins. Those masks are also available at the county evacuation centers and other sites. I'm going to finish there and happy to answer questions. Next, I'll invite City of Pasadena Mayor Victor Gordo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just returned from visiting the devastated areas of Pasadena and Altadena, and devastation really is the only word. I visited with the Southern California's congressional delegation, and I'd like to thank them for taking the time to see firsthand exactly what's happening in our community. While it's devastation up there, I know that our community, our people in Altadena and Pasadena, and we really are one community, is a resilient and strong community. And I'm here to tell all of you that the County of Los Angeles, Supervisor Barger, the State of California, and our congressional delegation is committed to supporting as we bounce back, and we will bounce back in Pasadena and Altadena. The resilience that we've shown in past disasters is proof of that. I'd also like to thank the first responders for all of their hard work and courage in assisting our residents. And finally, I'd like to say this. If you are thinking of coming to Pasadena and or Altadena for the purpose of looting, know this. The Pasadena Police Department and the LA County Sheriffs will be there to meet you. if you're even thinking about it, think twice, because the Pasadena Police Department and the Pasadena and then the LA County Sheriffs will not only be there to greet you, but you will be arrested. And so I would discourage anyone from even thinking about coming and victimizing our residents. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to introduce the CEO of Southern California Edison, Stephen D. Powell. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Powell, President and CEO of Southern California Edison. As a longtime, entire life resident of Southern California, it has been, words can't describe how horrific it is to see the impact on our communities, friends, my colleagues at Edison, even through these fires. Just been terrible to see. As we look forward, I first want to say thank you to the first responders, the fire agencies that are out there protecting the community and partnering with us on keeping people safe. I want to say thank you to our crews, our contractors, as well as those that are providing mutual assistance from PG&E that are out there working 24/7 to bring power back on in our communities. As of this morning, Edison still had about 50,000 customers without power. That's down from a peak of over 500,000 just a couple of days ago, so we're making significant progress on the power restoration. We've got over 120 crews supported by other field personnel. That's thousands of people out working 24/7 to bring power back on once it's safe to do so. At the same time, there's a lot of places where we don't have access, where there's a lot of damage that could lead to really extended outages. As Chief Maroney mentioned, we're also not through all the weather issues. We see a big wind event coming in next week, and that could lead to more public safety power shutoffs. Again, as an electric utility, we never want to shut people's power off. But to protect our communities when the conditions are merit it, we need to use it as a tool of last resort, and we will be doing that. So just want to let everybody know that's been out there without power for 5 days now. We've got our crews working 24/7 to bring power back on as it's safe to do so. Thank you. Next up is State Senator Sasha Renee Perez.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start off by first acknowledging that we have members of our Altadena Town Council here with us today, and I really just want to give them a big shout out. You know, so many members of their town council who are the elected body of Altadena have not only lost their homes, but they are also out there volunteering, making sure that people are getting resources, and that is so critical and so important. And so I just want to recognize the work that they're doing after they have lost so much. This is such a difficult time, and I am so grateful that you all have taken the time to be here and to join us. First, you know, I want to share with you all, I was with the Attorney General this morning. He wants to make it very clear to everyone that price gouging is illegal. We have received reports that there is price gouging happening, and whether that is around hotels, whether that is around apartment housing, whether that's around water, that is not okay. If you see price gouging happening online, please report it immediately. Us making sure that we are holding people accountable depends on all of you reporting. The website to do that is oag.ca.gov/report. I want to make this clear again. Price gouging is illegal. It is not okay to price gouge during a state of emergency. These are innocent people that you are taking advantage of, and I want to remind folks, please have some humanity during this difficult time. In addition to that, many have been asking about help with navigating their insurance. We have an insurance workshop that's going to be happening here in Pasadena on Saturday, January 25th, and Sunday, January 26th at Pasadena City College. Both of those events will be happening at 10 a.m. You can schedule your appointment in advance at 1-800-927-4357. Make sure to call. You can go ahead and meet with an expert there who will assist you you with navigating your insurance policy. In addition to that, we've been receiving questions about medication. If you've lost your prescriptions in the fire, you need them to be replaced. City of Pasadena pharmacy team is refilling prescriptions. In addition to that, Ultimed is providing immediate medications such as inhalers, albuterol, high blood pressure medication, and general medication for emergent needs at the Pasadena Convention Center. Ultimed is also providing mental health support and wound care as well. Both of those will be at the Pasadena Convention Center. And in addition to that, FEMA staff is currently at the Pasadena Convention Center right now. They will be here in the coming days from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to help those that need help with navigating their FEMA applications. I know that I've heard from many residents that they've received denial letters even though they've lost their homes, they've lost everything. FEMA staff is in town, located at Pasadena right now. They can help you with navigating that application. Please head there if you need assistance. And also you can reach out to our office. We will connect you with somebody at FEMA. Last but not least, we know Pasadena and Altadena are still communicating to the public to avoid drinking tap water in impacted areas. Please contact your local water utility to assess if your area has been impacted. We know the City of Pasadena is hosting water bottle distribution centers at 450 North Lake Avenue. We also have Pasadena City College acting as a distribution center for donation goods. So if you need those items, please go ahead and head there. And once again, just want to thank everybody that's been donating, all of the volunteers. I just came from the Pasadena Convention Center. On top of our firefighters being on the front lines to contain this fire, we also have the California Fire Foundation giving out $250 gift cards to those that have lost their homes. And it is just so tremendous to see firefighters that have spent the last several days working nonstop, exhausted, sleeping for a few hours and getting up to go volunteer at the convention center. That's the work that these guys are doing, and it's just so incredible. I can't express enough my appreciation for everything that they're doing, and just thank you all so much. This is community coming together. This is how we're going to get through this. Next up, I'll introduce my colleague, Assemblymember John Harabadian.
Thank you, Senator Perez. Thank you, Chair Barger, for all your continued leadership. My name is John Harabadian. I'm the Assembly member for the areas affected by the Eaton fire. And as many of you know, this is very personal for me. I was born and raised and grew up in Sierra Madre, minutes and miles away from most of the devastation. I was playing, growing up in homes that are no longer there, grew up playing sports in parks that are no longer there. And to all of the families whose lives have been upended, my heart and prayers are with you. I can't imagine the devastation and the feelings that you are feeling right now. As I was saying to many of my friends last night when we were all together, many of whom lost their homes, a lot of them are facing unbelievable amounts of trauma to going back to their properties and just seeing a foundation. And as I told them, the foundation of this community, of all of us, is going to be there for them forever. While they need to rebuild on their own foundation, there is a foundation of all the people behind us, all the people that you live with in your neighborhoods that are going to be steady and are going to be with you every step of the way. Rest assured, statewide resources will be there. Speaker Robert Rivas was here in the district, as the supervisor said today. We toured together with the rest of the Assembly LA County delegation. Many of my members here, Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, Assemblymember Mike Fong, were there as well. And we are committed to bringing as many resources as we need to help all those affected, to have a plan for the rebuild, and to make sure that no one is left out. All I'll say is that this is an active disaster. As many of you know, it is a perilous situation. Please have an emergency evacuation plan, and if there is an evacuation order, especially over these next few days, heed it. We stand united with one voice. We will get through this together, and we love you. We are praying for you, and we will continue to be right here for you. Thank you.
Victor wants to do one clarification that he forgot.
I would like to clarify on behalf of Chief Augustine, our fire chief who's here with us, that Pasadena does not have a curfew in place. We are considering it, and our executive leadership team will make that determination. Para la comunidad de habla hispana, quiero decirles que yo sé que nuestra comunidad es resiliente, fuerte y vamos a sobrevivir este evento. Aquí estamos con el Condado de Los Ángeles, el Estado de California, y también con la delegación.
All right, Marlon Teia is joining the coverage on this Saturday afternoon at almost 2:30. You've been listening to officials regarding the Eaton fire. Of course, that's the one that's burning in Altadena, Pasadena area. We learned a couple of new things that, first of all, 15% containment. So containment is up just a bit. Acreage remains at 14,117. Unfortunately, we have to report 8 deaths related to the Eaton fire.
There have also been 19 arrests related to not only just curfew violations, but also possible looting in the area. So that's disheartening as well. Let's listen in.
All right, I'm going to go back here. It's a pretty long conference. Taking a while. You gotta refresh. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is AJ Lester. I'm a public information officer here on the Eaton Fire. That will conclude our speakers for today. We're going to now open up for questions. If any of the media has questions, please state your name and the agency that you represent, and we will walk around with a microphone and get a question. First question here, gentleman in the blue.
Barry Johnson, KCAL. I saw hundreds of electrical repair trucks gathering at Santa Anita this morning. Can you tell us the plan of attack for all those trucks and when they will get started? All over the Southwest.
Yeah, so again, this is Steve Powell at Southern California Edison. So in the event that we have of damage to repair, we will stand up a temporary laydown yard. That's a place where our crews can go to collect materials, collect the next job, and get out into the community, and it keeps us efficient in storing power as quickly as possible. So as I mentioned, we have over 123 crews that are actively working on restoration, and that is a place where they can go and make sure that we're being really efficient. So we were able to get into the communities and get crews out yesterday, and they've been out doing damage assessment, beginning to clear things so that we can begin the restoration. So all those crews are active working today. I was actually there this morning.
Beth Slepaz, KNBC, Telemundo 52. This is for the Edison director. Is there any truth that one of your lines may have caused fallen for the Hearst fire? And what do you know about that?
So we're going to talk about the Hearst fire? Yeah. So we filed what's called an electric safety incident report, which we're required to file when there's either media or a certain amount of damage or certain criteria to get hit. There's a lot more investigation to be done on the Hearst fire to understand what caused the fire. And so right now we don't have any evidence that says that the Hearst fire was caused by our equipment, but there's a lot more investigation to be done.
Any further questions from the media? Okay, that will conclude our press conference if there's no further questions. We'll have breakout where we have utilities, SoCal Gas, Edison on the side. We'll also have Spanish speakers if anyone would like to do interviews over there along with public information officers. Thank you for coming to our press conference.
Back in the studio now, Rick Chambers along with Courtney Friel and Kai Goldberg. We've been listening to a news conference specifically targeting the Eaton fire over near Pasadena and Altadena. Now we're back with Sky 5 monitoring the Palisades fire, and in particular over in Manville Canyon, where you can see that the flames have now picked up dramatically over the last few minutes. Gil is at the controls of Sky 5 right now. Bring us up to date, Gil.
Yeah, Rick and Courtney, you're looking at the northern end of Mandeville Canyon. In fact, the homes up here, this is where it ends, but you can see all the homes as I come down the canyon here, and the ones that are right now under immediate threat are these very near the top of Mandeville Canyon. There's a couple of homes that are here in this this little canyon here. You can see that fire is very close to those homes, although the fire crews, the air tankers have dropped fire retardant right directly on those homes. in the area in the foothills there, but you can see a helicopter coming in to make a drop in that area to put out some of those hot spots. As I come down Mandeville Canyon, you see fire still up on that ridge line just above the homes there on the, that'd be on the west side of the canyon. And further down, you'll see home after home being covered in that fire retardant, that pink material that helps to stop the fire from progressing. But you can see through here, they've all been hit with that fire retardant chemical to protect those homes. You can see the fire continuing to creep down as we head further south down the canyon. And in various spots, it gets pretty close to certain homes. We know that at least one of those homes burned today. I don't have a complete count of any other homes that may have been damaged as of yet, but at least we saw one home there in Mandeville Canyon that burned earlier when my colleague Rich Prickett was covering the story. But I can tell you that after last night's coverage, we were really concerned about that northern flank, and I'm showing you that right now. It reached, today it has reached Mulholland Drive and stopped, and that's great news for everybody in the southern part of the San Fernando Valley, the Encino area, Tarzana, and the Woodland Hills area. You can see that has stopped. The winds have changed direction, of course, and putting it offshore. But two really hot spots there over towards Topanga Canyon on this northwestern edge of the fire, and then of course the eastern flank of the fire here at Mandeville. So the firefight continues. Helicopters going into Encino Reservoir. We got the big tankers out today that are coming in to our shot here. I'll show you that right now. You can see the tanker coming off just south of Encino Reservoir. What happens is when they drop these fire retardant lines, the helicopters will back off and then come in after the fire retardants have been dropped to...
Sorry, one sec. Hello? Hello? Okay. Just checking if the audio's working. Just checking.
Cleared the flank as well as on the western flank of the fire out towards Topanga and the Fernwood area. But again, the battle here to save the homes in Mandeville Canyon continues.
How are the winds up there right now, Gil? Are you bouncing around at all?
Actually, no. We're at about 7,500 feet over the just east of the fire. In fact, east of the 405 freeway, looking towards the west. And the winds are pretty calm up here for us. I mean, we feel them, but we don't have turbulence of any sort right now at this altitude.
And Gil, over the years, we've heard the fire department talking about how critical brush clearance is around people's homes. As you were panning up the canyon there in Manville, if you can actually pan to the right, you can see the homes are just tucked into some very, very tight quarters, and there is brush all around them. It seems like a disaster in the waiting for some of these homes there. There's very little clearance at all on some of them.
Exactly, Rick. You see, here's one of them at the very top of Mandeville Canyon, and the fire came right up to that ridge right above them. Fire crews on that fire road there. That's Mandeville Fire Road. So they have firefighters close by, but you're right. I mean, there's brush all around these homes, and that is a concern for sure for the firefighters. Now, at the very top here, I don't see... I'm trying to look for some fire crews that are in there on the ground, like structure protection.
Some neighborhoods are better at clearing brushes than others.
Yeah, they may be there. They're likely there. But again, one way in, one way out in this canyon. But like you said, here's those homes. A better look at them right now that are tucked right in that little crevice there of the canyon. And fire just approaching, I mean, maybe 100 yards away from these homes.
Gil, it's kind of crazy to see that some of these homes don't have brush clearance, because I guess it's just optional here, but up in the mountain communities, it's mandatory. Every July 1st, people come around and check, and you will be fined if you do not do brush clearance. So potentially in the future, that's something that might have to change, even though we're very urban here.
Right. I mean, it's very beautiful up here with the trees and
That's part of the problem, because a lot of these homes are actually new. You know, LA has a housing shortage, and then So what a lot of homeowners did was they kind of moved all of the city into the woods just so they have a place to live, right? They want to, if you want to be a homeowner but can't afford to be in the city, you go up here, and they're not used to, you know, they're not like well equipped to live in like areas like that. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole lot more windy than it was earlier. This is my friend Robbie. I met him earlier. He's like one of the last men standing. We're out here near Mandeville Canyon. It was not windy whatsoever when we first got here, and obviously it has picked up. Robbie?
I gotta pause it for a sec.
Bad guys.
Okay. I don't like this guy, but he is kind of a... Let's see what he's doing.
It could have very well been the case. But then, the police immediately came out and revealed that they did not have any evidence to suggest that this person had caused a fire at all. It's over at that point. Like, what are we doing? You see someone with a blowtorch, but did you see it, or was it just what you heard? No, we saw it, dude. What are you talking about? There's footage. Like, yes, it is a dude with a blowtorch.
I haven't watched this guy in a while. I wonder what if he's changed.
It's funny, blaming your own viewers too is the homeless fault, and especially those victims who lost their homes and became homeless. Good job, Fox News. Bro, you know he did it, right? Hassan, you know the location of the Kenneth fire was an ember from the Palisades. The wind was going in the opposite direction, and they're nowhere near each other. It was right above Hidden Hills. Honestly, no doubt in my mind he was an arsonist.
So smart,
you need evidence.
he knows more than what the police knows. Okay, same old Hassan.
Brother, what are you saying?
Oh wait, sorry.
Like, do you think the police would let someone go if there was any inclination that they were an arsonist? This person was an arsonist?
He's talking about this guy. Okay. But those are his viewers,
oh my God, it's Jesse Waters. It's Jesse Waters' photo. Oh my God, it's Jesse Waters' account. Jesse Waters at 9 months subscribed.
Watch someone else before I get triggered. Raw reporting is probably just someone. This is Twitch. Someone talking about the LA fires while playing Marvel Rivals. Office drummer. Oh man, he ain't kidding around.
Also add a browser source for the controller page.
Alright,
you know what the only issue with this is?
Looks like he is working on some technical issues.
Escape mode reset.
Oh, I remember that.
Speeds up to 2 gig. Low lag, game on.
I'm surprised it didn't come sooner though.
With internet speeds up to 2 gig. Switch to ultra fast quantum fiber.
I haven't done this in so long. I don't even pay for the service anymore, you know. I don't watch too much TV, so ads are like, whoa. Oh, so he's monitoring the water drops.
I would say teia.cafe LAV1.
Actually, pretty cool. Agenda-free TV. Does that mean he's not going to say anything? I am neutral. Look at me.
They're showing on KTLA Fire
Is that still the hills above? No. I think on KTLA they might have been, were they showing some, oh, I think they were showing old video on KTLA maybe of the Kenneth fire right now, because they're interviewing people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little, actually, I don't know. Maybe that's Mandeville Canyon. I can't tell.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
that's
We're
Mandeville
gonna keep
Canyon.
an eye-
I think
Yes,
it's
that
Mandeville Canyon right now.
confirms he is
I
correct.
can't tell. That looks like a live shot on KTLA of Mandeville Canyon.
So objective.
A lot of smoke.
Copy. You're headed back to where the soup truck is at.
NBCLA showing a lot of smoke on Mandeville Canyon. I guess they're really hitting a lot of helicopters. Look at all these helicopters in Mandeville Canyon that are going back and forth, dumping water. Most of them dumping water like this.
LA, air attack 140 on V1.
Trying to prevent
Air attack 140, go ahead.
the flames from getting at the homes.
140 off the fire. I need a 4.
How is he getting that radio?
Air attack 52.
Isn't that supposed to be private? Or at least,
See, there's Mandeville Canyon right there.
Air attack 140, 4-5 minute ET back to Rye.
Jesus, that's a
good copy. Have a good day.
bad place to live when.
It's a little flame, little bit of flame.
LA, V1 label.
A little bit of flame on the NBCLA shot.
Air attack operations on command V1.
See, is this relevant? Because
Give me 1 sec here. One sec.
Lead, growth, and partner.
Operations, field communications.
No, it's definitely not related.
Unit calling operations, go. Operations, field
I wonder if
communications.
Jake's gonna come by.
just received
He's
report
been here.
from
He
cameras
remembers
at the
when I
Green
used to do stuff like
Mountain
this.
radio site in Temescal Canyon. Impacted by fire. Believe it's in Division Alpha. I have a lat long when ready.
Green Mountain radio site in Temescal
Copy.
Canyon
Go direct with Division Alpha. You know the location.
has been impacted by fire.
Division Alpha, field communications.
I don't know where that is.
Field communications, Division Alpha.
Maybe that one.
Is this a Green Mountain Drive? Is that? No, that's not right.
Division Alpha, the radio site at Green Mountain, Temescal Canyon, being impacted by fire. I have a lat long when ready.
Lat longitude. Okay. Let's look this up.
Go ahead with
I
your
can-
lat long.
I'm listening. We never got the
How many followers does he have? How many people are watching?
latitude and longitude,
Hey,
so I can look it
1,000.
up.
That's really good. Let's see, this guy has a product.
Thank you, Hardy. Hold on a second here.
He's
So
not
there's a
just
radio
a
site in
casual
Temescal
streamer
Canyon.
like I am right now. I guess I've always...
that is being impacted by fire. And I assume it's up here where you've had near Mulholland and Temescal Canyon Fire Road, but I don't know where the site is.
Is this like a guy walking around?
So glad they're setting us up with all the help we can get just in case it gets bad again. And to just do damage control as much as they can. Oh, it's kind of windy on the mic. I got my mics with me. I can hook up my mic. might be panting into the mic though, which I don't like. That shit triggers me when I... It's probably already still happening though. From just my other mic.
Where's my channel? I'm in politics. No one's there, of course, but I bet a lot of people are talking about it, though. I mean, that's the most famous guy on Twitch. Back in LA, desktop.
Oh, fuck. Ah, fuck. Fuck!
Okay, no. That was just a brief moment. Not even talking about it. Are you sure you're just chatting? Same old Twitch. I mean, I guess not everyone cares about what's happening in LA, you know? They gotta look it up. Hassan definitely does, because he lives in the area. He's probably like, and he's a homeowner, by the way. Yep. He's one of those socialist homeowners who feel very conflicted about the whole thing, you know? So that's why he goes off on, you know, he just like loses his shit once in a while. I just like, ugh. People searching fire also watch. They apparently also watch Marvel Rivals, I guess. Yeah, this channel is pretty legit, you know. It's a little on the slow side, but definitely does have its thing going. Marvel Rivals until my house burns down.
Okay, y'all are taking too much damage. Please stop. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love the communication here. Oh.
I love Magic. Amazing character.
That's not her mouth stuff.
So fun to
She's
play
an
with.
amazing character. She's just aggravating. Ugh.
Alright. I guess they're not talking about the fire. LA's on fire, that is true. LA fire tracker just looks like feeds.
Older generation, it'll be difficult to rebuild.
Yeah, and we were just hearing from Catherine Barger, the supervisor who represents the Altadena-Pasadena area in the 5th District. She made the point that her office is on it, trying to make sure that the permitting process to rebuild is expedited. It's such a daunting experience to have to lose your home and then to have to go through all of the bureaucratic red tape. Is just, nobody should have to deal with that. So she's working to make sure that that process is simplified. In terms of the numbers for the Eaton fire, just over 14,000 acres, 15% containment.
My hope
there.
is that
And there are some new evacuation shelters that have opened.
If they do
well,
it,
as we're looking at the mandatory evacuation.
they make it simplified. They've been needed to do that for years.
But
you know?
those new Palisades fire evacuation shelters are this. See the information on your screen. Stoner Rec Center.
But they're gonna make it permanent.
Not too far, in fact, from us where we are at Fox 11 in West Los Angeles. They've also added Calvary Community Church. This is in Westlake Village on Villa Rocas. That has opened its doors for evacuees.
This is actually pretty useful. You get different vantage points. Kind of a weird thing because I don't live there anymore. My brother does. So we used to live near each other in LA, and then I moved 2 months ago and now this happened, and I'm like, damn. And I don't know what's gonna happen now. You know, it's like because I'm not exactly like tied to where I'm currently living, which is Seattle, right? I don't have any strong obligations here either, so I could potentially move back if it's necessary, but I just don't know, like, and a lot of it has to do with housing. You know, I hate to like turn it into like a boring policy thing, but the permitting process in LA is really messed up. Like, it's worse than you think. You know, some homeowners get slapped with fines, or they get rejected for the applications to make their homes fireproof. You know, often for aesthetic reasons. You know, so a lot of the neighborhood, you know, they're going for a certain look, right, in the community. It's very Hollywood, right? And it's like, well, no, that I mean, you know, those fireproof shingles you want to install on your home, it just doesn't look right. You know, it's just like, so we're not going to let you, or you know, and then it turns into this huge legal thing. And so I was looking up permitting processes. Where is it? How long does it take to build? How long does it take to get a housing permit in LA? Pretty straightforward. Even the AI could probably, you know, give us an idea. I don't trust AI, but like, you know, some things it's okay. Ticket. Residential projects. So that's different from to get a. How long does it take to get building housing permit? Something like that. A few weeks to over a year, and then it just like, it could take question mark, right? Because you know, and like a year is assuming everything goes smoothly and no one tries to block you for some reason. And the way the permitting process, LA permitting process, maybe there's a image, flow chart. There, I mean, yeah, here's it's on this side of the screen. So I learned all about this, CEQA, cup zoning, etc., and even just this one block can take forever because these people have a lot of power, you know. And if they don't like you, they'll just say, no, you can't. And they're like, why? Well, we don't have to give you a reason. Like, you know, especially CEQA. So this CEQA has been a big problem in California for a long time. I learned about them even like the first day I started doing like housing advocacy, right? And a lot of times they leverage like environmental laws and like historical precedent. I don't know. Let's see. CEQA, so I don't say anything wrong. No, okay, it is an environmental thing. So historical, that's a whole other thing, right? So you have to you have to pass the benchmark of whatever standards they have for environmental standards, and then zoning standards, which is set by the city, and then there's also historical preservation, right? So sometimes either the neighborhood or the some kind of public entity will deem a certain building historical, and they will disallow you from knocking it down. In theory, this makes some sense, right? Especially if it's like a community-driven thing. But the criticism has been that in recent years, these organizations have been given too much power, and they've been acting almost independently from the communities that they're supposed to be representing. So that's like all messy, and so actually this chart is not complete. Like there's all these steps before it gets to this stage, but this is actually the part where it gets hung up. That's why it has the this is probably what the article is focusing on, I think. Yeah, okay. CUP, so that's what so you got to do the CUP, you got to pass all these things, and then it goes to other state and local permits. Yeah, this is the state level, right? Zoning. It's really complicated. So that's why it takes forever, Imagine like each one of this is a form and has to go through approval and review, and then there's other. It just says other because it's very variable depending on where you live, right? Then you have to pass solid waste facility permit. This seems more straightforward, Like you just make sure your sewage is thing. If something goes wrong, then you get no permit. LEA reviews it. If something goes wrong, you get no permit. And then you get a full permit, assuming you go all the way here, and it goes to here. But the part that this doesn't have is, maybe this one has. Oh my god, I'm getting a headache just looking at this. No, that's an environmental thing. God. Let's just look up the politics. Local blocking housing in local government. Los Angeles. Yeah, so this is the part that gets contentious because you can get all the permits and meet all the standards and like do all that paperwork where it often takes couple years, if you like mess up a little thing and they're like, oh no, you're not getting your permit, and then please revise, and then that takes several weeks, right? And imagine if that just keeps on compounding on each other. So then you finally get through this painful, process, and then you get your permit and you're like, all right, I can finally build. And then the way that the local laws work is that they go and they block housing because they can. That's just how the law works. Like someone's like, oh, I don't. What happens most often is like single-family homeowners go to they block apartments because they don't want their views blocked, right? They don't want a big building standing next to it, and that's literally the reason why they block it. You know, they even say it out loud, and they're like, well, where are the, you know, the poor people and the middle class gonna live, right? And they're like, well, I don't know, right? Like, they don't care, right? So just not here. Yeah, you can go live wherever, but not here. That's why I call them NIMBYs, right? Not in my backyard, NIMBY. And so if you imagine that happening basically every neighborhood, like all the nice areas definitely happens, and yeah, but it even happens in middle class neighborhoods too, because you know, if you're a middle class homeowner and you bought your home like a long time ago, you know, you made a lot of money, like it appreciated in value, and you have this fear, which is unfounded, but people fear that, oh, if they start moving in, there goes the neighborhood, right? And sometimes it gets racial, you know, or discriminatory, but it's mostly about money, you know, for the most part. So, you know, there are rich black people living in Malibu too, right? It's not like they're gonna say no to money. So, yeah, but you know, it's like it's a mess, and so I have so many tabs open. Where is it? So, like they were saying in the report, they want to simplify this process here. But the other part, and this is the part that I'm worried about, is that are they going to man, sorry. I got lost in the tabs. Hold on, I did have an article. One of the posts. See, as recent as a couple weeks ago, LA loses a third effort to block affordable housing in some neighborhoods. Now, what does that mean, right? It means that judge has ruled that the city of Los Angeles now, this is the government, illegally blocked low-income housing in a neighborhood. So here is the example this is one example of how the government is actually, like, they're the ones that are supposed to be building low-income housing, right? Because they're using public funds, and they tried to build one, but they blocked itself because they were getting pressure from all these single-family homeowners. They're like, I don't want those people moving into my neighborhood. And basically, a lot of the times the city wins because, right, you're the city, you can do whatever you want. But the judge had to step in and tell the city, don't do that because it's illegal. So the judge had to tell the city of Los Angeles, who's making the rules, that they are breaking their own rules, you know. And it basically comes from the single-family homeowners, right? So they don't, like, for the same reason, they don't want apartments in their neighborhoods, and so that's what exacerbated the homeless problem and the high rents, because they're just like not enough places to live. Now, at this point, I don't do politics anymore. Like, I was doing it starting 2017, 2018, right around after I moved back I got started to get involved in San Francisco because the housing's really bad up there too, right? But so I got involved with a housing advocacy group called YIMBY, Yes in My Backyard. You know, it's basically the reaction to NIMBY, Not in My Backyard. And then I continued that after I moved that back to LA. And I was doing political advocacy with them for like a couple years, you know. And for the most part, sad to say, we lost every major political battle. SB 50, that's very sad, you know. That would have allowed the state to build housing near transit without local governments interfering with it, right? No one was going to kick anyone out. You know, that's how they marketed it. It was just like, okay, if it's near transit, you can. That's it. You know, no one's like going to bulldoze your house. If you like your house near there, that's fine. Just cool, right? But they went out of their way to block middle income housing from being built in their neighborhood, you know, just because they didn't want them around. And so that was that. There's Prop 13, which I was talking about earlier. You know, this was the big tax loophole that a lot of these homeowners were pretty much enjoying, right? They bought their home in the 70s or even earlier, you know, and they basically didn't want to pay tax on it, you know. They're like, I don't want to pay taxes. So they're like, okay, you don't have to. You know? And so a lot of them are paying taxes from like back then, right? And this is related to the fire thing because that money was supposed to go to things like fire. And so they kind of, you know, yeah, maybe it's too early to say, but like, you know, they kind of did it to themselves, you know. And why was there blunders in the emergency response and like fire, right? Why wasn't there water? Why wasn't the infrastructure updated? Because the money from this was supposed to go to that stuff and it just didn't. They were like, so yeah, and for a long time, they up until now, like this has been in place since the 70s, right? And so it's a long thing, and people don't even know it exists anymore. We tried to repeal it, but maybe because they jacked fire funding and gave 100 million cops instead. Yeah, actually. Are you a follower of Kenneth Major? That sounds very familiar. This guy, I supported this guy when I was living there, you know. Voted for him. He's trying to clean up the City Hall, and that ain't easy. Where's his Twitter? Don't know him? This is the comptroller. Like, this guy is the accountant for the city of LA. He is the head guy. He's the guy that looks at all the accounting stuff. So, yeah, this chart, yeah. 120 million to police. Good guy, the good guy to know. Like, he's like one, like I know, like maybe 3 or 4 people who are trying to do the right thing in City Hall. But like, so, okay, well, you know, it seemed, aside from the huge increase to police, you know, we're turning into a police state, like quite literally, right? Look at down here. Turns out you can't shoot fire. Yeah, I mean, you can try. Maybe if you're very accurate, you could destroy the you know, the fuel. But look at this, you know, she actually made a cut to the fire services, and this is gonna come and bite her. Like, this is why she's nervous. Because, you know, talk about the wrong thing to do at the wrong time, right? So, yeah, so, you know, going back to housing, yeah, oops, right? Even Gavin Newsom looked really nervous because this I mean, it's still going.
To where we are now in this new
gathering.
It's like it's still not over, right? Good God.
And then it was so dry, and that is the term to apply to what Samada was talking about. When you have a lot of rain, that promotes growth. Then when you have all that drought, then it's going to dry up and add fuel to the fire.
Yeah, and this area hasn't been brush cleared, so it's looking pretty grim, you know. Most peeps can't get fire insurance, Callie. Yeah, we can look into that. Actually, since you're here, you know, I'm originally from Hawaii, and I've been kind of following, you know, the Lahaina thing. And my worry is the same thing's going to happen. Like, Alfie, like, thousands of people lost their homes, right? And then only now they're like, okay, we'll make 11, you know? Like, it's only just starting now, kinda, you know, because one, people don't, like, LA's gonna have to deal with this too, but like, after the fires are put out and, you know, they clear the rubble and they start doing cleanup, they're gonna realize that there's a lot of toxic chemicals that got released into the air, into the ground, right? They're even telling people, watch out for breathing, right? It's gotten, and a lot of it has to do with housing, because, you know, a lot of the housing hasn't been updated for like decades. So some of them have like some pretty nasty stuff, right? Like lead, asbestos, arsenic, like, you know, toxins that we should not have to worry about in modern times, but we do, because, you know, they just didn't want to, you know, they didn't want to change, right? And so when your house caught fire, we had the house due to toxins. Oh, damn! Sorry. I guess that's that. Sorry to hear. I mean, I guess that's sounds like it's a separate incident, though, huh? You're not you don't. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's good. So at least that was in the past, right? You live in the LA area? Is that? I haven't live streamed in a long time, but I know, I'm just like, I don't know, I just started doing it in case someone felt like talking about it, you know. Oh, Colorado. Okay, that's very different. How are things over there? Because like a lot of people that are like raising, like, they've been saying like, hey, we knew this for a long time and you guys didn't do anything about it, you know. So like the 2018 fire, I was there, you know. This is what's so triggering, because I was there when all of this stuff happened. And then, you know, yeah, the Skirball fire, right? 2017. I mean, there's multiple, right? This is the only one. Remember this whole, holy crap, the Getty is on fire, right? This is like the famous Getty Museum right around here. It's got to be a picture. I mean, it was very, very iconic at the time. I just moved to Seattle literally like 2 months ago. I'm like, okay, tired of LA. Gonna move to a city, fresh start, you know, new people, and then boom, you know, I don't even know what to say. You know, it's not funny, but at the same time, it's like, wow. You know, I just had this bad feeling of like something horrible was gonna happen if I stayed there, you know, and then 1 month later, I'm like, boom. You know, I'm just like, damn. It's a little concerning for me too, because my brother's there. Global warming, I mean, it's that too. I don't deny that, you know. They've been using it as an excuse, which I don't like, but it is true that weather has been getting worse. But at the same time, we knew that, right? These are the people saying, hey, climate change is real. We got to get real with climate change. And then they're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. What did they do? Nothing. You know, they gave tax cuts to the rich people, and then, you know, that's what Prop 13 is. They gave themselves more tax cuts, reduced support and public funding for infrastructure and firefighting, quite literally in that chart right here. You know, they did it just a couple months ago, right before this. They're like, yeah, we don't need this shit, you know? And then boom, major catastrophe. And I don't know, it's just freaking sad, you know? I feel bad for the homeowners that lost all their, you know, people, one person was like, oh, why are you so happy that this happened? I'm like, I'm not happy. I was like, I was telling you guys something like this is going to happen if we don't do something. Oh, sorry. Literally foaming at the mouth. But like they just ignored me, or some of them attacked me, and I just got tired of it, you know. And I'm like, I can't be here no more, you know. So luckily, you know, I didn't have any obligations at the time, so I just kind of packed up and left. Here in Seattle, you know, Seattle has lots of problems too, but and it's all relative, you know, it's all relative. People will see use for affordable housing, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's unfortunate, but a lot of times, like housing was a problem even before I got involved, you know, but it only became a real problem once it started affecting people with money, you know, because all those homeless people you see on the streets, no one cares about them, you know, and they don't have any representation, you know, they don't have anyone. There is no homeless voting block, right? Once you go that you're just like out of the system, right? Like some of them still do vote, but most of them are like too far gone to like even pay attention, right? They're just trying to survive, right? Literally. So, is it too dang profitable for the shareholders? Well, okay, we could talk about that then. So, housing costs for affordable housing per unit one weird trick. Oh yeah, here we go. See, like AI is pretty good for like finding factual, you know. It's like a good search engine. Yeah, that's what I use it for. But yeah. So the median cost to build a single unit of affordable housing in Los Angeles County was about $600,000. Now, not per building. This is per unit. So if you build a 50-unit apartment, you know, low-income apartment complex, someone is getting paid this times 50. That's a lot of money, you know. And that's where all the money, your tax, this is taxpayer money now. It's not some, you know, it's not a VC or, you know, like realtor like footing this. This is taxpayer money. Yeah, just build some commie block. You know, I actually agree with the socialists on building mass worker housing, you know, but you can't do that if it costs this much, right? It's ridiculous. Right? Like, it doesn't have to cost this much, but this is the markup, right? This is why a lot of people want to get into the government procurement business, right? It's very lucrative. Like, well, I'm gonna, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into like the capitalism versus socialism thing because, you know, I'm a moderate, so, but this is just fucked up, okay? This is what happens when you have the worst parts of public service and the worst parts, you know, you have the greedy side of capitalism and the sort of corrupt side of socialism, and they have this marriage of you know, they're just like, yeah, let's fuck over the taxpayers in the name of profit, right? That's the unholy hybrid here that has spawned everything, you know, like all the problems in LA. Like, this is not the only thing. This is, just imagine this, but everything, right? Mao has some points. Just saying. I mean, everyone has a point, you know. But like, you know, I just want things to get better, and I'm not interested in, like, you know, party lines or, oh, I believe in this or that, or, you know, it's like, Monopoly was made to show how capitalism is bad. Yeah. But then, you know how weird that got, right? People played the game and they're like, oh, capitalism is good. Yeah, you know, it's like they took it as a not a warning, but like a playbook, right? It's our entire reward system, yes. Okay, I kind of lost my train of thought, so I'm going to start over. You guys are from Twitch? Yeah, okay, I see that. Ah, just like the good old days. Good old Twitch and their opinions. Lot of people on, like, I know I'm like streaming in multiple places right now. Oh, there's 2 people on YouTube. Interesting. There's a bunch of people on X, but they don't really interact because it's kind of hard. And I have my even my Facebook connected. But a lot of places they don't say anything, and it took me a while to realize this, but because they have their real names attached to it, and like, no one wants to talk about this shit, okay? No one. I got yelled at several times just for bringing it up whenever I try to talk to it with my, you know, so even some of my friends or like even my family, they like quickly change the subject because it's just, they don't want to deal with it, right? It's just like too complicated, too personal. It highlights the fact that, you know, we're all part of the problem, you know, and they don't want to, they just don't want to think about it, you know. So I've learned not to talk about it in polite company, you know. And that's part of the reason why I haven't streamed in a long time. But watching this,
and
I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I told you guys, like, oh my god.
A lot of bags, and so did I. And
I said something like this would happen.
And you know, until we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of animals. We got a dog, a cat, 2 lizards, 2 birds. I drove the 2.
Yeah, they told me I was being negative, but I'm like, look.
Surprisingly long operation.
You know. So I don't know. I'm saying, and then like someone attacked me saying I was happy about it. I'm like, I'm not happy, man. Like,
you know, you're right on the cusp. You know, from your as
like
someone
a
who's
cliche,
living in
but
it,
I'm
and
like,
you're living and breathing this, and then also the fact that you do this for a living, and you
know, I hope I wasn't right, but
you know, how are you coping?
If no one likes to hear I told you so, but
vantage point is the firefight.
But it's just like it just.
Well, the key for us is going to be this Mandeville Canyon firefight.
I'm just trying to process it. You know, this is like honestly not my problem anymore because I'm in a new city, but I spent like almost 20 years in LA, and it's just like tragic, you know.
Yeah, then that's real trouble. Then we might actually have.
But so
the last few hours we've been
just talking about the picture. So the challenge for LA really is like, are they going to dig in and do the same thing that they've always done over the last, God knows who? You could argue that they've been doing this since like 50 years ago, you know, since the 70s. Like they hadn't, you know, government doesn't change that much, right? It's like, it's a weird like anomaly in what the rest of the world is. It's like it's a very antiquated culture, you know, I would say. Oh yeah, I had someone say, "Oh, we're at the 5th," you know, like, yeah, but what's the point if they're just like wasting all that money on, right? It's hard, and the people who can make the difference are the people who have money. You know, that's unfortunately that's the reality. Because when you talk about this stuff and it affects people kind of below the certain income levels, like people just don't care, you know. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how the world works. Yeah, like I said, no one was talking about housing until it started affecting college kids and right, all those people on the margins or the working class who, you know, didn't go to college. No one cared about them until it got so bad that it started affecting wealthy people, right? And this is kind of, God, you know, I can't believe it. Like, I really can't. I thought I gave up. Like, you know, I gave up because I was, you know, I keep on trying to talk to people, and I told them it's its own, you know, it's in your own interest not to have homeless people running around your neighborhood and threatening your children and the safety of the community. And wouldn't it be nice if, you don't have people who are just like out of their minds setting things on fire. I'm not talking about this thing, but you know, right? Like if you lived in LA, there are several times where people just set things on fire for no reason. They're probably high on something, and you know, it's just like bad, and that's not good for your home values, for one, right? Like if there's a bunch of homeless people running around your neighborhood, that's not gonna make the price go up, you know. it's like it's not even in their own interest. So you know, for a few years I was just like feeling idealistic. I'm like, okay, I just gotta convince them, you know, hey, this is great. This is gonna be a good thing. You know, we'll build more housing. Your kids can stay. You know, that's another problem. A lot of people grow up in these neighborhoods and they can't afford to stay because the rents are too high. So a lot of parents have to say goodbye to their kids and they can't stay because of money, you know? And so it's like, God, you know, isn't that tragic? How about we do what's like, it's a win. It should be a win-win, right? Like it should be like good for everyone. But the insanity is like they kept on doubling down. I've been doing this for years, okay, since how long? Like, I guess if you count until now, that would be like 6 years, you know? And we lost every policy. There were so many, man, like so many. AB, I don't even remember the number anymore. State level, local level, SB 50 was tragic. SB 50 fails. Fails for. This was back in 2020. 55, yeah. So it's just like it failed twice. Oh man. Oh, don't remind me. I thought, yeah, man. I thought we had it the second time. You know what happened was the first time I tried to pass SB 50. There was like, that's too extreme. That's too much housing. You know what is? Like, I don't even know what that means, right? Too many places for people to live. Like what? So they're just like, okay, well, we're gonna send it back. You revise it, make it more moderate, right? Make it less, you know, in your face and just like. So they did, you know, they did. They sent it back. They made revisions, and some of them I wasn't happy with, but I'm like, okay, this is a good compromise, and maybe it won't scare, you know, it won't scare the old people. That, you know, they're coming to get you, they're coming to, you know, it's just like ridiculous, you know, no one's coming to get your home. Like if you want to live there, go ahead, right? Like no one, there's nothing in the bill that said that, but they lied and basically told everyone, right? They scared people into voting against it, and then it failed again. So that was disappointing too. Trying to compromise is not the answer. So then over the time, homeless. Yeah, you heard that too. Yeah, you probably even hear it too in Colorado. They use it everywhere. You know, homeless people are gonna move into your home and harass your children or like what else? Yeah, you know. There's also kind of like Latin racism sometimes, you know. You like those people are going to move into your neighborhood. Do you really want that? Right? Like, it's a little bit more hush hush, but it's honestly more about money. It's just like, you know, rich people don't trust people with less money than them, and then so they don't want to be around them, and so you have all these segregated neighborhoods, and yeah, it just makes things worse, right? How are they gonna blame migrants for the fires? Oh, that's probably gonna come from the right. You know, like, what about that guy, you know, who got arrested, right? For supposedly arson, but like, you know, they didn't have any proof, so, you know, he's not guilty yet. But you'd be like, oh, it turns out it was this homeless migrant that started the fire, and, you know, they are a danger to society, etc., etc. But like that shit doesn't help either. You're not actually talking about the problem, right? And that's the reason why, even though I hate the Democratic Party, but I'm looking at the other side and I'm like, you guys are wrong too. You're like totally missed the point. Like Trump doesn't talk about this stuff, and I know because I had this idea that I gave him a chance. I gave him a chance in 2016. Well, where I was just like, okay, I hate that guy. He's freaking nuts. But since he's there already, maybe he will make building housing easier by deregulating, right? Republicans love that word. Deregulating the permitting process so that the neighborhoods can be better reflective of supply and demand, like a good capitalist, right? And he totally did not do that. He just, every time, he's just as bad as Democrats. This is one issue both parties avoid because it's too real, When you're making $600,000 per unit, right? You're not gonna want to disrupt that, right? That's pretty good, and I'm 100% certain that Trump is taking that money too. Like I'm 100%. We can probably prove it somewhere, because he made God, man, no. So the MAGA people are idiots too, and it's like they don't know what's going on. And Trump, public housing projects, because this is what he used to do back in the day. This might be hard to search because search results are so politicized now. Used to build. He used to build low-income housing. He used to be a Democrat. Do people even know that? That's what makes the whole thing so bizarre. Like, did you know that up until like 2012, like Trump was a Democrat? He was hanging out in Hollywood talking to all those people he now claims to hate. But how did Donald Trump make his fortune? Yes. Government procurement. You have some issues with Section 8 housing? Like what? I mean, there's a lot of red tape, and if you look at it in practice, it's a lot of work for the tenant for really like not that much money, So a lot of people are like, is it even worth the time? Why pay a landlord instead of just a government housing complex? Well, people have, that's a good question actually, People have reservations about that because there have been public housing projects that have been utter catastrophes. I'm gonna type that in. Utter. Well, there's many. research. Because there's some that are historic. There's one in New York. I forget the name. Yeah, so one of them turned into a slum, basically. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a very common thing. Yeah, but what do you expect, right? It's low-income housing. And so the big challenge is like trying to keep it public, but also safe and secure. Like my last boss, actually, his family used to run a low-income housing complex in Michigan. And oh man, the stories. One tenant got upset with another tenant. So she just lit his unit on fire. The whole thing, yes. I guess the saving grace was because it was made with modern construction. You know, they kind of anticipated something like that would happen. And so it's not like it destroyed the whole neighborhood, but you know, that's fucked up. And they're like, oh yeah, so last week someone got shot, someone got caught selling crack in front of their apartment. What do we do? You know, and I was sitting in these meetings, I'm like, damn man, like and I was just like, I was a property manager in California, in LA at the time. So, you know, we were running like a little artsy like apartment complex, and like, man, my job's easy compared to that shit. Like, so people gotta pay rent, man. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you're poor. What are you gonna do? You gotta make some money, right? Like, how else are you gonna do it? Housing should be free. I agree to a certain level. I think housing should be cheap, you know. And that's the thing that I'm working for, you know. Because, like, whenever I go to... So you go to countries that build a lot of housing, like China, Singapore, Japan too, you know. When I went to Japan a couple months ago, you could still, even now, get an apartment near the train station, near Tokyo, you know, for like $200 a month. Yeah, you know. But the way we talk about those public housing complexes here, we see those gray, grim, like dystopian picture, and it's depicted as a hellhole full of crime, drugs, and violence, right? Like, you even see it in the media, right? Even in like movies and stuff, right? Like look at, you remember that movie Judge Dredd? You know, I'm pretty sure that was like a reference to public housing projects, because it was just like, but you know, there's some truth to it, because as you see here, a lot of them were exactly like that, right? Now, I think they have a better handle on it, and so, you know, they've done things, but now we have the opposite problem where it's just like $600,000 per unit, right? Like, and yeah, no one can afford that. Not even the government can afford that, right? There's like 100,000 homeless people in LA right now, probably more, probably even more now, right? That's really sad. But you can't be spending that much money. Like, you can't get rich and do public service at the same time. That's the problem, right? A lot of people are trying to get rich. They're like, oh, I'm gonna get rich and do good at the same time, right? And that's the lie people tell themselves. Like, it's even in the tech industry, right? Remember FTX, right? Remember Sam Bankman? He used to subscribe to that theory where it was just like, what's it called? Effective altruism, yeah? If you follow politics, you've probably heard of it before, right? You know, like the people who show up in like the political channels are actually pretty, you know, they're kind of in tune with this kind of stuff. They might have cleaned up this description a bit. Yeah, but it's like, basically people used it as a, yeah, that it's ironic that this guy who's now in jail, oh, but they used to teach this shit in the biggest universities, Stanford, Harvard, Yale, all those big Ivy League schools. And there are people who unironically believe in this, and then they learn the hard way. That's just not how it works, you know? So there's this, like, I don't know what it is, but our society has trouble distinguishing what's charitable and what is in self-interest, you know? And in the past, like, you know, I'm old enough to know this, but in the past, they used to be more separate. And I think that was better. Because when you have people on the right, they're like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, you hippie progressives. Yeah, you know, war peace and all that shit. But, you know, I gotta eat. So sorry, you know, like sometimes you just gotta do shit to make money and take care of yourself, right? And I feel like they were a little bit more honest back then, right? And people on the left were like, yeah, but like, dude, like, what's the point of, you know, making money for yourself if the whole thing just kind of fucking falls apart, right? Because you need public services for, like, even stuff Republicans like, right? Like fire. Everyone needs fire. Everyone needs police. Everyone needs water. And, you know, they tried privatizing that stuff in California. Ironically, in liberal California, they privatized a lot of that. And look, it's a mess too. Like, it freaking sucks, right? But it's like, but that's the problem. When you try to mix the things together, that's when things get weird. And people start deluding themselves into thinking like, oh yeah, I'm Sat Macri, I'm doing good. Like, it's not a scam. It's more like I'm helping. This is how they rationalize it. I'm helping people grow their wealth in the way I know how to do it, which is a Ponzi scheme. But you know, what's a better word for Ponzi scheme? Mental gymnastics, yeah. What's a nicer word for Ponzi scheme? AI, tell me. ChatGPT. Investment swindle. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I might have to bust out my my paid account for this. I have a bunch of earlier stuff related to coding, but what's a more marketable way to say Ponzi scheme? Crypto. Hey, I do crypto. Stop. No, yeah, you're right though. No. I'd like to think I'm doing, you know, I'm working with the nicer parts of crypto, but that's a whole other thing. Multi-level marketing. There you go. Yeah. So I have a friend, fiend. Actually, you know, that's probably more accurate, but that wants to scam people using Ponzi. They're probably gonna say no, but it's gonna see scheme, but doesn't want to be too explicit about it. Know what I mean? So what's a better way to say it out loud? You don't assist with financial fraud, scams, and Ponzi schemes. Oh, okay. I can respect that. It's just that you and thousands of other people. Some dumb. Is that your name? Don't worry. Everybody I know wants to make a token, or already has. So, I'm getting tired of standing. I'm on a standing desk. Started gaining some weight ever since I moved up. It's cold up here, man. And when it's cold, you're kind of like, my body needs heavy foods to survive the winter, you know.
Daughter,
that's what they tell you.
Pick up some goods. They lost their home in Altadena. They're currently staying with family members.
All right, I gotta refill my water.
12 people total. 8 of them that were evacuated. Now 12 people total in that 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in Pasadena. And right now they're just playing the waiting game with the insurance. The insurance said that they're going to try to find some temporary housing for them, but their best bet is probably to find it on their own and then present it to the insurance company. And so that's kind of the outlook of people that are coming here to pick up goods. And of course you have tons of people that are coming here to drop off goods. They've been here since about 10 or 11 a.m. this morning. They got here last night. And when they got here last night, there were no lights up. There was no porta potties. And so all those donations came because people heard what was going on here at Santa Anita Park and they wanted to help and contribute in some way. Santa Anita, of course, opening up its doors. Some of their staff is here. They have a tent set up, handing out some food and goods to people. Some of the chefs on the inside, they were preparing meals for earlier today to be handed out, and for those that came through here, but also for those first responders in the area as well. I've talked to people that have come here to donate from Duarte, talked to some people from the South Bay, talked to some people from nearby. Everybody just wanted to come here and just help, just give a little bit. The last time we spoke, we talked to a young man from Koreatown. He just wanted to come out and just show just what humanity can do, right? Even Angelino, taking so much pride in that. And if you know anything about this city, about Los Angeles, you know, we take a lot of pride in where we're from. And
gotta go. Oh yeah, have a good one.
Of Los Angeles, we all come together as one during times like this, and this is a huge example
a bag of kale
of that here at Santa Anita Park.
Some cheese.
To kind of echo what Kai was saying earlier, yes, they do need shoes. They have enough clothes. They have so many clothes here that they can't take any more, but they certainly need shoes. They're certainly open to any other goods that you can bring, whether it be baby goods, pet goods, just your day-to-day, everyday essentials, water as well. They're bringing water by the cases here to drop off, and people are coming to pick them up. I've seen board games, I've seen children's toys, babies' toys, so you name it. If you have it, you think someone can use it, feel free to come down here and bring it by. Just a little while ago, you saw one of the images from our photographer, Sean Burt, who was doing a fantastic job out here. There was a U-Haul that came in filled all the way up and just unloading boxes after boxes after boxes. Not sure exactly what was in those, but you have tons of volunteers here that they're going to go through that and sort through all that stuff as well, and that'll be out here. So you have volunteers here, you know, separating the goods, and you have people coming here to pick up the goods that are in need. And they're going to be here till 11 p.m.
Well, that was an
tonight.
interesting discussion.
7 a.m. in the morning tomorrow to 11 p.m. And they said they'll be here until Wednesday. And then once that happens, if there's still a need, then they're going to go find another place to go to in order to continue to provide this service. For
Yeah,
those
you know,
who've
you
been
gotta
affected,
weird it
by
out.
these just
I
tremendous
don't know.
fires,
Like, when you're on the
throughout
internet,
our
you don't
community.
know
For
what
now,
you're
we'll send it
seeing.
back
You
to
know.
you in the studio at Santa Anita Park.
Like, am I seeing the same person, same thing as the other person?
Truck as it pulled up, and they had kind of a bucket brigade on.
And you don't know, right?
unloading
So it's
that
just
truck.
kinda
It was a
nice to get,
heartwarming
like,
moment.
some
We
confirmation.
appreciate your.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I'm just gonna
Exactly.
eat this
Thanks
piece
for
of
the shot.
cheese.
We want to take you back out to the Palisades fire, and you can see the smoke there still kind of pouring up from the middle of your screen. Sky 5, obviously, over the scene right now. Gil Levis, bring us up to date.
Rick and Karine and Kai, again, the smoke billowing up here. The fire captain that was just speaking a few minutes ago mentioned the furthest western flank of the fire, and that's what we're over here. This
Home
is
just started
right east of
Malibu. Just
Malibu
one?
Canyon Road. This is off of Payuma. In fact, the Palisades fire met the Franklin burn scar from last month. So the people in this area have been threatened now with fire for 2 months straight. One month in December, and then here we are in January. So as I pan to the left, though, you see the coastline here, and we mentioned Topanga Canyon, and I thought this smoke that was that we were just looking at was Topanga, but it's not. Here's Topanga, and this is some good news here. Very little smoke, if any, coming out of the area here. These homes
22
on the foothills
million.
here, just east of the Topanga Canyon Boulevard, I should say. They were threatened yesterday. A lot of heavy smoke. You can see the hillside that was scorched there, but it burned right up to those homes. And the firefighters here, with on the ground and in the air, did a great
not
job
looking to buy.
keep the fire away from these homes, even though it came
I just
right
wanna
into
know
those
where it
neighborhoods.
is.
But as I come out to
Is
a
that
wider
what has
shot
a
and tilt
map?
up, we're looking back towards.
Oh, right. No, they were showing this
we
earlier.
were watching a little while ago.
Yeah, it's pretty
along
rough,
the
man. It's just like
fire
this
road here,
little
the DC
strip of road, and it's
fire
the
retardant
whole
line
thing
here.
is surrounded.
This is probably the most active flames out on the Palisades fire right now. As I zoom in, you'll see some of the flame links here and the heavy unburned brush that has not burned yet. So still a lot of active flames out here, but they're really hitting it hard with that.
It is, sorry,
12,000
random, but-
gallons of fire retardant at a time. So you can see that well.
Actually,
line
I'll do
of
this on the
fire
side.
retardant there that goes towards the
Totally
south, towards
not
the valley. And they've done a great job in laying that
related.
retardant. Here comes some more, another tanker making another drop in there. So they're going to hit that hard today, this afternoon, and try to prevent that fire from spreading further west here. But as I tilt up, you'll see Mandeville Canyon, the smoke coming out of that area in this direction here. Not as intense as the flames here along the Temescal Fire Road. That's the latest overhead up in Sky 5. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
And Gil, it's so reassuring to know that the thousands of personnel that are on the ground, they are holding those fire lines, they're attacking the fires from above, and so those resources are in place tonight. As we approach the 4 o'clock hour, Karine Winter here along with Rick Chambers and Kai Goldberg. This is our special coverage of the KTLA 5 News at 4 on the Southern California wildfires.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, Gil showed us those homes that have been saved along Topanga Canyon. Those folks ought to make some deep donations to the firefighters fund over the next few days. It was amazing. Those homes were so close, so close.
And here's a look now at the fires that crews have responded to this week. And the biggest and most threatening right now, of course, the Pacific Palisades fire. It's pushing northwest into Mandeville Canyon and the San Fernando Valley. The Eaton fire in Altadena, then the Archer, Hearst, Kenneth, Sunset, and Lydia fires. We're all watching those as well.
And Kai, we mentioned that the smoke is coming up and it's looking good for a lot of people out there, but you said the winds are going to change.
Yeah, that area specifically, as we take a look at all the information, of course there are many fires across Southern California, and again, we'll look at that DC-10, that tanker. Look at this, that's a great shot, and we want to thank Gil Levis. He's been doing a great job, he and his pilot, making their way around the Santa Monica Mountains for us this afternoon, showing us the hot spots, showing us the tremendous heroism of the firefighters here in Southern California, both on the ground and in the air. And again, these tankers hold up to 12,000 gallons of retardant, and they have been striping the Santa Monica Mountains from the west out towards Malibu, to the east out near Sepulveda and the 405, and to the north as we made our way last night above the Encino and Tarzana communities. And again, just a yeoman's job for these guys all afternoon long today, doing a great job. 24 hours on, 24 hours off, and boy, they need that off.
And there's so many resources as well that continue to come in from out of the state, because, you know, we don't have enough firefighters here to do the job alone. So that's so comforting to know that the resources are in place. Jennifer McGraw has been working so hard on the ground in the hillside. She's been speaking with the fire captain, getting the latest information for us on the situation there. Jen, how does it look at this hour?
You know, it looks a little bit better than it did in the last hour. The wind obviously isn't as strong as it was when we were out here earlier. When we first got here, I would say that was around 2. It was a slight breeze, and then an hour later it was really gusty, really billowing, and we saw the hand crews down there dealing with flare-ups. And since we've been out here, we've seen so much air assault, making great gains and efforts putting those spot fires out. But it is concerning. We have seen multiple fire personnel coming out and looking over the ridge and documenting and making sure that it's not going to race up this hill, because that's what fire likes to do, especially in these windy conditions. It will tear right up this hill in seconds if it catches fire. So that's what they want to make sure it doesn't happen. Now, they do have a fire retardant line here, and I was speaking with the captain, and he says that's good news that it's holding. So that's the good news for now, but it's definitely going to be a difficult fight. I want to go to a firefighter that is going to talk about the firefight, but also the community coming together to help others.
Honestly, not much going on.
We are doing a lot of fire drops, a lot of retardant on there, really trying to hold that line. I have not been over there recently to get an update, but
not much going on
Twitch. Starting to
Twitch.
see some of the winds dying down.
Not too many people are actually talking
so
about
we're
it.
hopeful for that, but now, as you can see, they're starting to pick up again. So I'm sure we'll be deploying some more resources there. But if you drive through these communities, you're going to see firefighters in back of almost everybody's yard. We did see some aggressive firefighting in the back. We were behind one house that had some outstanding structure defense, and the fire burned right up to it, and our firefighters were able to contain it there and protect.
And so many people right now worried and concerned about their homes, especially with multiple fires. I know in Eaton Fire, people are concerned and want to just see if there's anything valuable that they can sift through in that
Only
rubble
2.5 hours,
them,
huh?
and they can't go home yet. And
They used to
that's part of the
go
problem.
like all
These are
day.
dangerous disaster areas. Right now, luckily, this area in Brentwood is being saved by these firefighters,
sit down.
and they do have a home to come home to. But again, the concern tonight is the wind, and so they're going to be keeping a close eye on it. They want to make sure that the lines that they have in place stay and are effective, and that'll be the major concern. Of course, the wind as we go on through the night. That's the very latest. We'll send it back to you in Hollywood.
Jennifer McGraw, we thank you for that. And as the sun begins to set, you're going to see fewer of these aircraft out there. They won't be able to fly. And also, Kai, I think they said earlier that 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, well,
have to start grounding some of the aircraft.
Exactly, between 35 and 40 miles per hour. That's when they typically start to say, well, wait a minute, with fixed wing aircraft and helicopters, that's when it becomes a little bit too dangerous. And that's why they're fighting this fire so ferociously right now, because once we make our way to 6 o'clock, so that's 2 hours from now, the wind advisory turns into a high wind warning. So we're talking about the difference between gusts currently anywhere between 35 to 45 miles per hour, but through the night, we'll see gusts up to 60, 65 miles per hour. And again, that's why they've got to get on it right now.
And the reason they have to ground those aircraft when it exceeds that height, it's not just because it's dangerous for the personnel, but it's also ineffective. They're trying to do those water drops, and the wind just knocks it in a different direction.
It becomes, instead of like a bucket of water, imagine dumping that on the ground. Yeah, it would flood your kitchen floor, but it would just be missed by that time. So, yeah, again, ineffective. And you can see the winds. That we put that in the smaller box on the left side of your screen. winds at this hour through the Van Nuys area. That's the heart of the San Fernando Valley. Sustained winds at 16 miles per hour. When Jen McGraw was interviewing that fire captain, he was saying these gusts are 25 to 30 miles per hour. There's no doubt about it. And of course, we're not just concerned with the San Fernando Valley, the Palisades area, Santa Monica, but look at the winds in San Bernardino, Corona, out towards the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County this afternoon. Those are even stronger winds right now. Those winds are funneled out of the Cajon Pass. And so unfortunately, much of Southern California with the extreme dry air, and of course we're still dealing with the red flag warning as well, and that red flag warning is sticking around not just today, but throughout the middle of next week. That's the dangerous part of the forecast, the relative humidity values anywhere between 5 to 10%.
Kai, thanks for that. We want to go out to the Eaton fire area. They're having a community meeting right now, probably getting some information on when they can get back in, insurance as well. Let's listen in.
Your eyes should be burning by now. Your lungs are probably a little coughing. All those toxins and plastics that are in some of these structures that have been burning are also in the air. Please remember, if you go to airnow.gov, you can get the latest conditions at your location and have a little bit more informed condition to see where you can go to get a little bit of relief. There's also lots of links on there, and tomorrow we'll be producing an outlook that gives you a forecast. In the short term, the 24 to 36 hours, we're going to continue to see this moderate to USG conditions. And then as we see this next passage of winds, that will bring that column right back down to the surface, unfortunately, for a few hours. And then we hope by Thursday, we're going to see a little bit more relief in the dispersion from these wildfires. Stay tuned, and thank you much.
Thank you, Jen, for that information. And the smoke outlet that she was talking about, we will be posting it as it's produced so that you guys can see it in the public. Next, we're to talk about evacuations and public safety with Los Angeles County Sheriff Captain Williams.
Oh, comb my hair a bit.
Hello, I'm Jabari Williams, captain of Altadena Sheriff Station. So I just want to give a few updates for the Altadena area. As of right now, as of today, still Altadena is considered a evacuation zone. The public is still not allowed in that evacuation area. We do have checkpoints, and people will be turned away if they try to enter the area. They are still worried about different things, potential fires flaring back up, debris in the road, and there's still wires down that can become energized at any time. We just want to keep the public safe, so that's why we're keeping everybody out. As of right now, we have over 550 deputies in the area for deployment. They do have active missions. Once they complete a mission, they're assigned another. So we are actively working public and the property safe. There are 30 National Guards on hand that's assisting with checkpoints and protection of assets in the area. I wanted to talk about the shelters. There is a shelter. The closest one available is the Pasadena Civic Center. It is at 300 East Green Street. There is a family assistance center there. We do have deputies on hand. If you have family members who want to report missing, you can certainly do it in that area. There's also questions about whether or not people are able to retrieve medication. At this Civic Center at 300 East Green Street, Pasadena, there is a pharmacy on hand that can refill prescriptions. So if you need prescriptions refilled, please show up at the Civic Center and they can assist with that. I want to talk about the curfew. It's still in place as of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it's only for the evacuation area within Altadena. It's not within any other jurisdiction. So I just want to clarify that the curfew in place begins 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it's for the evacuation area within Altadena. If you want to find out how to, you want to know how, learn if your residence is in that evacuation area, you can easily go to protect.genesis.com. and they'll let you know if that area is in the evacuation zone. That's protect, PROTECT .genesis, GENASYS.com. The recovery efforts have begun. They started the grid searches this morning. and they will continue tomorrow. It will take some time, weeks. We have a lot of people, a lot of different agencies helping us, including the coroner's office, search and rescue for the sheriff's department, FEMA, OES, and a lot of different other agencies that are helping with the recovery and efforts in the area. So they are doing risk searches, going house to house to search for damages and potential remains. As of right now, we are up to 8 confirmed deaths for the Eaton fire, and those efforts for the searching will continue. We are at 19 arrests as of right now. Most of them are for people looting and committing burglaries. We made 4 arrests just for curfew alone. So please adhere to the curfew orders in place. We will begin the repopulation plan. It will take some time to get it started. We will say this, before we begin the repopulation plan, we will have guidelines in place for people to follow. They can easily go to any of our social media sites for LASD HQ, and that's on Instagram. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Captain Williams. Next, from the LA County Public Health is Chief Deputy Director, Dr. Anish Mahajan.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking our first responders for their heroic efforts and extending our thoughts and prayers to all those who've experienced profound losses from the fires. We in public health stand committed to supporting those in need in the months ahead. I would also like to thank our county supervisors, especially Chairwoman Supervisor Barger, for their extraordinary and thoughtful support of public health and all of our county and
All right. Well, I'm not sure how much longer we'll be here. I kind of said what I wanted to say. Nothing too new. What did Newsom say about taxes? Saw a little ticker. California has more money than expected. It's really weird. And see, this is what I don't get. They do this every year, and then it's like, oh my God, the state budget, we are so fucked. We're like, I remember it was like, they were down 50 billion, a deficit. And then right before budget time, it magically gets fixed. Oh, just kidding, we're flush with cash again. And I'm like, what happened? Like, where did that come from? And it's weird because it just didn't happen once, but it had it several times. Like, it's the same pattern. It's like, oh my God. And then, no, we're good now. And I feel like something weird's going on, Like, they either got, maybe he begged Biden for like a bigger federal package, or, asking daddy for, for a bigger allowance. I don't know. So the thing with this, okay, well, one second, my stove's on. it's gonna take a few. First, like, it's so weird. Yeah, no, one of the big thing about Seattle is that there's no income tax. So just looking at this, how most of it comes from income tax is a huge difference in the way the cities run. But as a side issue, so my, you know, my optimist side says, oh, maybe they just got a bigger package from the federal government, and then it would make sense, you know? Yeah, basically he begged, you know, about Biden, please, we need the monies. We will say nice things about you in the media if you do that, right? Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, right? But, or the cynical side of me says that they're just making it up. And because the system is so complex, like who's gonna know if you just fudge a few, you know, and numbers here and there and just make it, you know, you can make the calculations fit the report if you really wanted to do that. And a lot of it has to do with inflation. You know, they might be messing with that. But I do know they run out of money all the time, and you know. Well, anyway. I missed the ticker. I'm just gonna have to wait until the ticker comes back again. The little thing on the bottom blocked it.
Continue to follow the emergency guidance provided in the drinking water notices until your water supplier has notified you that it's safe to reuse the water.
Independent
If you're experiencing concerning symptoms related to drinking
Oh,
contaminated
he
water,
formed a task
of course, go
force
seek
again.
medical care from your doctor or an urgent care. The
That's
water
what
is
he does
also
every
impacting
time.
our
Every
ocean
time you
waters.
bring up
We at
a
the LA County
problem,
Public
he's
Health have
like,
issued a specific ocean
"Oh,
water advisory yesterday.
We'll look into it.
Please
You know,
avoid
let's
all
form a
water
task
contact
force.
at our
They did that-
beaches from
he did that with our
Surfrider Beach
housing
to
thing,
Dockweiler
too.
State Beach at World Way,
And-
because the water runoff from the areas impacted by the fire may
what they
contain
found out
dangerous
is that,
bacteria,
hey, we need to build more
dangerous
housing.
toxic contamination,
What we already
and
knew.
debris that may harm your health.
And they're like,
and make
oh,
you sick.
cool.
We also
Now we
continue
know,
to issue
and
ocean
nothing
water
happened.
advisories for other beaches where the bacterial counts are high. We will provide
Say,
updates on our
delay
website at
tactic.
publichealth.lacounty.gov/beach and post notices on the beaches about the evacuation zones. I'm going to now shift to cleaning up after the wildfire. Now, we completely understand, and this is a very difficult time for those who were evacuated from their homes and their neighborhoods. Of course, folks need to get back home, and they want to get back home very badly. But I would like to ask that you do not return home until you're told it's safe to do so. There are a number of potential hazards depending on the level of burn where you live. These hazards include things that relate to power lines and ongoing other kinds of risks, hazards of those nature. There are hazards related to toxic substances, lithium batteries that are not entirely de-energized, other kinds of chemicals that might have resulted from the burning of all the materials that in these structures. And so please heed those warnings and be careful about that. Now, our children are also worried and traumatized.
And as we've been listening in, an important update from officials on the Eaton fire that's burned more than 14,000 acres, 15% containment. They talked a lot about the toxicity in the air, all the plastics that have burned, evacuations, the status of that. Altadena considered an evacuation zone, meaning the public still cannot enter, even though a lot of residents are anxious to go back in to see what's left of their property. But of course, a big concern, all the wires that are down, the potential for fire flare-ups, debris that's on the ground. They also underscored that the National Guard on site assisting with checkpoints, protecting property for those who are concerned about possible looters going in. They've made a number of arrests on that end as well.
They're also bringing in cadaver dogs now to look for the remains of people who are still missing. Let's go to Chris Wolf. He's on the ground for us in Brentwood right now. With the
I think that's all I have today. So I don't know. This is probably just a one-off thing. Just wanted to get back into it. I had a good conversation, so